across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, a very good morning to you. What is it? Monday, the 24th of August, the last week of August, which means that all of you lazy buggers who aren't listening, they'll be back at work next week. It's only us, isn't it? Alarm clock Brits. Morning, welcome. A good weekend. Poppy Coburn on the way. It's a sort of mish of weird stories today, so you can make the show up yourself as you go. Don't forget, by the way, as ever, if you want to be part of the discussion, the debate, man, it's taking quite short. 0344 499 1000. Get you. He's back. Tommy is back. This is a great line from Tommy. Tommy is an extraordinary character. What did you do this weekend, Tommy? Well, he said, I went out on the lash, to be honest. He said, I had a few drinks, and he said, I didn't get home till 5 a.m. Now, if you know Tommy, that's quite shocking. He did point out, though, that 3.5 of those 5 a.m. hours were trying to find a cab and get a female friend of his home. So actually, like me, like being a lightweight, he finished at 1:30, but 4 glasses of wine, and he seemed to have a good night. What did you do at the weekend? I went to the seaside. You might have heard me just say, extraordinary, which gets me thinking straight away. And I know it's nothing to do with the news. Bank holiday weekend next weekend. Best and worst of the British seaside. I bet you the first person says illegal migrants. I saw a few in Lyme Regis. I played crazy golf, went to the amusement arcade, tried candy floss and thought, Christ, it's busy down here. Many tattoos on site. Oh, yes. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Of course, Poppy in a sec. What can we tell you? Harry and Meghan, yes, it rolls on. This one, do you remember David Blunkett, the old Home Secretary? Amazing human being. Or he was. He says they should get security. Another ex-Home Office Home Secretary who wants to remain anonymous also said it. Why are they wanting to stay anonymous? Both sides of the coin there. I don't know if you saw the pictures yesterday, William and Kate after church, putting on a brave face. And apparently my favourite bit on Saturday, I was so excited I sent it to Christian, is that she got axed from the gentleman, what's he called? Guy Ritchie thing. I don't know if you've seen it on Netflix. It's bizarrely, weirdly all right. And she was going to be offered a part. Then it was withdrawn, but apparently she's still in talks to star in it. The reason it was going to be withdrawn is, let's be honest, I mean, are they giving it to her for ability, or are they giving it to her to stir up a bit of interest? What do you make? Where are you at with this whole Meghan and Harry thing? Like me, have you sort of lost interest a bit? Because I reckon they'll come for a few months and then bugger off again. I think it's all to get their feet under the table. Also, here's a good one for you. We found out today that a catastrophic £500,000 a day is spent detaining illegal migrants and moving them around the country. Well, I don't think that much of that is spent on detaining them, because wherever I go, there's loads of them. So it's moving them around the country. Really? Honestly, I did it again yesterday on the way back from the seaside. Drove into Bournemouth. It's just appalling. I can't. Bournemouth used to be somewhere. Well, I'm not going there. I went to pick up a suit, a rather nice linen suit, to be honest. But that's another story. But no, seriously, it's not what it was. What is happening to our towns? But then my favourite story of the morning, peeps. If you are an alarm clock Brit, talk about government waste. Get this. Civil servants who work from home are being handed 600 grand of your money, ladies and gentlemen, to pay for their heating bills. Not in the summer, I hear you shout. No, coming up. If you work from home and you're listening, does the government pay for your heating, or are you expected to pay for your own heating? If you work, are you expected to pay? But no, Home Office, or what do they say? Yeah, civil servants, I don't know, they can work from home, because apparently that's politically correct, and we'll pay your heating bills, you bunch of lazy people. And then let's take aim. Let's take aim at the Greens, the most barkingly mad party ever, in my humble. The Greens have called for police to lose tasers and pepper spray and move money away from police and prisons. They'd like a system, I think, where all prisons were closed, because it's not unfair. Let's all just sit around cross-legged and eat some couscous. Still not a mention of a tree. But the Green, I love this. We approached the Green Party and they said, conference is still weeks away. I didn't say like that at all. Conference is like still weeks away, and members have only like just started submitting motions. So like, don't make too much of a thing, like, because like we haven't understood yet what the truth is. That was my hippie impression. question. How crap was that? Also, later on, Richard Tice on Reformer saying that only working Brits under 35, well, not only, but married ones, ex-veterans, will be pushed to the front of social housing. What a particularly intelligent policy that is. Let's provide social housing for hard-working British families who are struggling. No, let's give them out to migrants and put all the other tosses... No, you know what I mean. Anyway, there we go. And Kemi Badenoch yesterday said, and I quoted, I don't want a monstrous coalition with Reform. They're awful human beings. She described the people that defected as some of the worst people she'd ever met. Wonder if Jen are existing this morning. Anyway, she says she's going to win the election on her own. Morning, Jez. We will be spending the bank holiday camping on a Falklands reunion in Doncaster. Dave in Aberdeen. Where's my mug? Christian's I don't know, Poppy, good morning, how are you?
Good morning.
Now, we'll get into the bank. Christian's very angry with me because I've started giving away talk mugs, and in the entirety of this building there's only 20 of them. There's absolutely no budget to buy any more. I've just started giving them away.
Excuse me, I've never been given a talk mug.
Oh, here we go.
Where's mine?
Do you want a talk mug?
Well, yeah, you just told me you've got 20.
Right, think of that scene in Pretty Woman where Julia Roberts, played in this moment by Poppy Coburn. She wants the brownie, right? Explain to me in the next 52 minutes why you should have the mug and not Poppy Coburn.
Where's me mug?
Where's me... Who said that?
Where's me mug?
Oh, don't start that. Now, 0344 499 1000, text to 87222. Morning to Dave in Aberdeen. He has, in fact, won for winning coming up first morning. How are you?
Yeah, very good. I just told you the story off air.
This is brilliant.
Oh, yeah, this is a real... thank you for this. This is a real IQ test, which I failed. As soon as I left the flat yesterday, because I was going to go see my dad and go to Cambridge, realised the door was closed and I thought, God, I think I'm missing something.
Keys.
Yeah. Keys to get back into my flat. Usually it's completely fine because I just asked my boyfriend to let me in. Not that I've lost my keys for many, many years, but it just so happened that...
Is he always in there when you leave your keys in, usually?
Well, usually he's either in the flat or he'll be back home and I can just borrow them from him, or I can travel across London and find him. No, he's in Thorpe-le-Saken. So we had to go to Thorpe-le-Saken.
See, I've never heard of that place. You keep saying it like...
It's a small little village on the outskirts of Clacton. It's very far away from where we're living in London.
Is it? So you had to go all the way there to get back into the flat. Couldn't he have done the manly thing and driven back to look after you and meet you halfway? What's wrong with him?
Well, because it's my fault, isn't it? I mean, it's a bit unfair to say, like...
If you'd been my fiancé, I'd have driven from that small village back to London.
I know you've taken this time off to go see your family, but I've made a mistake, so can you just stop doing that, this long-held plan, so you can help me?
I'm sorry, this relationship's not going to work. I'm joking. Bank holiday weekend this weekend, best and worst of the British seaside before we get into it. I went to Lyme Regis, which is, as a kid, was gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
It's a bit overpopulated now. I played crazy golf. I went to the arcade. By the way, you don't win 2p's anymore. You get bloody, what do you call them? You get stickers, printed out tickets. Like, if you win some, you get 10 tickets. So I got quite proud. I had 250 tickets. You know what I got for that? A gobstopper. Christ, you need about 15,000 to win anything worthwhile. That's a con. Honestly, there's a bloke on the beach. This is no word of a lie. Why am I doing that? There's a bloke on the beach with a bouncy thing, right? There's six trampolines. And he said to me, £3 for 5. All right, Jez, how are you? I said, is it free? He went, no, you've got loads of money. I said, cheeky bugger. So I gave him for the 2 kids, and they start back. He's got a clock. 5 minutes. Seriously, 4 minutes, 59. Off! Honestly, you can't believe it. So the reason I went was because my parents spent their last days there. We went there as kids, and I'd spent some money some time ago on my mother's commemorative bench. And when I last saw it a couple of years ago, it's a particularly cheap-looking composite thing from IKEA. I think it looked like it was IKEA. And it just said, Nan Kyle. And I was, that's not very impressive, is it? I was, what am I going to put? Sat here and eyed up the windsurfers. No idea, anyway. I put it on there. Anyway, I took my old man in his last years, and I don't know how to say this without offending anybody, but it was outside the public toilets next to the sanitary. You know when you know, oh, buy one here. And I said, really, he was very upset. So I rang the council and they said, well, we'll move it. And I haven't had a chance to go back. But here's a mystery. Got back and it's right outside the front of the Royal Pavilion. Fantastic. But his name's on it as well.
Wait.
Right? How is
Why was he added to it?
I've no idea. So, Patrick, it's there.
Did you want them to be added to the bench?
Well, I've no idea. But anyway, now this particularly cheap-looking bench that wasn't cheap is now in front of the Royal Pavilion Limeridge. So I just thought, you know, I don't do it an awful lot. I thought I might post, just, you know. Yeah. And I really sarcastically put, well, at least those two buggers will be able to finally rest in peace, because I've managed to move their commemorative bench, cheap though it is, outside from the toilets to now in front of the Royal Pavilion. I got thousands of... I'm so sorry for your loss. I hope you had... And then one woman said, I'm going to go and sit in your dad's face next week when I'm in Limeridge, just which I thought was quite
that's
good.
the comment you liked.
Yeah, I like that. But it was great. That was my weekend. But British summer holidays when I was a kid were infinitely different.
I'm trying to think of like a
Did you not go to the British holiday? I mean, my kids...
No, yeah, of course I did, Well, our local beach was Frinton in Essex, which is a really lovely sandy beach. It's very pleasant when there is nice weather, which is 12 days out of the year, at least it was back then. Now we have loads of lovely weather. But I never really went to any of, like, the seaside spots.
Did you not?
No.
That was... You see, I think...
Never been to, like, Margate or Blackpool or
I
anywhere
said
like
to
that.
my kids love going to the beach. They want to do they want chips in bag. It was great.
But see, we would always do that. We would go to the beach. It just wasn't a place that you'd associate with like a proper beach holiday. Like Frinton's quite a small little town. We never went to the real, like, this was the 20th century, because everyone just goes on package holidays abroad now.
Yeah, but why would you at 32 degrees go abroad? I'm sticking out for that. So,
because you have to pay for British prices, which are absolute extortionate.
Oh,
that's
Christ.
why.
87222, start your message with the word talk. What is the best and worst of the Great British Seaside? Here's another thing very quickly. Mark will know this. You know Mr Whippy?
Yes, of course I know.
Since when did you have Mr Whippy in chocolate whippy flavour and strawberry whippy flavour? It was just vanilla whippy flavour.
Gone way.
And by the way, don't ever have bubblegum ice cream. Have you tried that? That's bloody awful. He threw that away. That was £4 in the bin.
That's like the neon blue one, isn't it?
The neon blue one. Yeah.
I don't trust anything.
And the other thing is, we went for lunch at this pub that I've known for years. In the old days, you'd have like a ploughman's or fish and chips. Oh no, Greek kebab souvlaki, or whatever you say, with Greek salad and hummus and stuff. It's all changed a bit, isn't it?
This is a very posh seaside holiday you've been on.
Sorry, what did you say, Krishna? Chips in a cone. Have you ever done that?
No.
She's really posh. She gets out of the bath to have a pee. 0344 499 1000. Get to it, peeps. That's a bit of fun. Harry and Meghan. Oh, come on. It's still rolling on. And I mean, listen, for almost everybody, and people go, oh, God, you can't still talk about this. It's still absolutely front and centre. You know the story about The Gentleman, the show that she was off at the party? Did you ever watch The Gentleman?
No, I had to look it up when someone was like, Meghan's starring in a Guy Ritchie
This was a bizarre programme with this couple sort of of sons, one who was in the sort of armed forces and the other who was particularly weird and dressed as a chicken when he got high. They discovered that their old father had been running the biggest weed farm in the world. It was a bizarre show. Her role sort of was offered. Now they're saying it was leaked to make her in demand. Then it was axed, and now she's still in talks. Why does anybody care?
Wait, is it been axed and now it's back again?
Well, no, so over the weekend they said, she's going to get it. Then they said, oh, the backlash has been far too appalling. They've withdrawn it. Now, apparently, she's still having chats about it. I don't give a damn, do you?
So bizarre. It's so bizarre. I mean, the idea that she come back to the UK for acting opportunities might make sense, given that I think her latest role was MasterChef Australia, which was a bit bizarre considering she has no connection to Australia.
But
and
she
she's
can
not
do a
chef.
nice fruit plate, can't she?
Well, I mean, that's all you'd get. You'd be like, what is it today, Meghan? Oh, it's more jam. Brilliant. Oh, marmalade this week. Fantastic.
I think she should go to Lidl and sell her jam. Can you imagine that in the centre aisle?
Meghan Markle's
Meghan Markle's special jam.
No, can you just imagine the pace people do on social media? They'd find when it's like 20% off and everyone would be laughing at her. It'd be awful.
Oh. Morning, says Christine, slowly recovering from a stomach op. Cheers me up to see you. Well, we don't make you laugh.
Well, at least we're not making her hell.
I know. Yeah, Meghan and Harry, where do you stand on all this? We saw pictures of the weekend of the Waleses, Kate and Wills, putting on a brave face. We've heard about two split teams. We've heard about, is the old man ill? Are they getting their feet under the table? The other argument this morning is one of the ex-Home Secretaries, David Blunkett, amazing guy, actually, and another one who wants to stay anonymous. OK, have your cake and eat it then. Think they should get security. This could cost up to £5 million to the British taxpayer. I want your take on it, PC.
I mean, the one thing that I still cannot get my head around this, so maybe you'll be able to help me. Why now? why now have they decided to come home? Because we all know it would have taken quite a long time to plan a move back to the United Kingdom. So when we got the Fed to the line last week that the King was told on Sunday, I don't believe that for a second.
You think he knew?
I think he absolutely knew. Last time that they came to visit the United Kingdom, I think he would have been told then. Because you don't just drop, you know, if you're putting your kids in a British school, you can't just decide on a whim, even if you are of the royal line, that you're just going to move everyone over here. You would have been planning it for a long time. And I had a feeling that the reason he timed it in the way he has is because he hoped that he was going to win his legal case. And he hoped that he was going to come back to the United Kingdom saying, I've been vindicated. You know, now I've smoothed over any differences with my dad. Yes, I've still got a lot of trouble with my brother, but it's OK because my whole message about how horrible the British press is has been proven. But that didn't happen.
No, it didn't.
He lost on every single count. So instead now he's had to come back because by that point you've already pulled your kids out of the American school, you've already enrolled them in a British one, you've probably already got a property that you've put down a deed on. It's too late. You're already coming over.
That's a
why I
really
think
interesting analogy.
have quietly slunk back into the country. They've done no interviews. We know they like doing interviews. There's been no phone calls to Oprah this time around. It's all been very quiet, very under the radar.
I think it was planned. I don't know whether I agree about the King knowing. I thought the Althorpe thing, Earl Spencer's thing about a book and then 2 days later this popped up, is really interesting. I think the old man could be iller than we think, and I think it could be a cynical attempt to get the feet under the desk, because I'm pretty sure that William... Somebody was asking me on Friday, why do you think William won't? You know, surely he should be the bigger person. I think because I think he's steeped in the monarchy, as I said last week, and I think that he will be very upset by what Harry tried to do to an institution that his grandmother drilled into him how important it was, and his grandfather. But I think it's beyond that. I think it's the people near Harry and Meghan who did and said what they did about Kate. And all of us, and I'm going to put my hands in the air, everybody who were doing shows going, oh, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on. The truth of the matter is the poor woman with 3 kids in a school was suffering from cancer. And I think that William will find that. Why should he anyway?
Well,
who the hell does Harry think he is? I can't
It's going to be really difficult for anyone, even if we take away the royal son. I mean, imagine having your brother say the things he did, write in his memoir all the things that he did, to put your wife and her children through. I mean, Harry likes to talk about how his wife has been put through hell. I mean, that's the same with William.
But
like,
is this the wife that said that this country's racist?
Exactly.
Well, sod off then. Well, you're only... I mean, why are you coming back? To get the Kings, to get your feet under the table because there's no money, because nobody wants to employ you? I don't know. But look at this, though. Jason from Bristol. I really want your opinion on this. I think Prince Harry should get security from the government. Let's be honest, we supply security to illegal migrants every single day and nobody says anything.
I think that... So I do have a relatively controversial view on his security.
Do you?
Which is, we may find Harry a quite irritating figure. I certainly agree with that. But he's of the royal line. Yeah. And I know people will say, well, others don't do it, but he is directly of the royal line. I mean, his grandfather is the king, which is why his children...
No, his father is the king.
Sorry, his father is the king, which is why his children get to keep the prince and princess title.
Why would you want your kids to keep the prince and princess title when you've called the whole institution racist?
Well, this is the problem.
Can't have it both ways, can you?
This is the problem, which is why if he wants the state to pay for his security, which every single person who knows about how the security works has said it is going to happen, like it or not, regardless of what Andy Burnham thinks, he is going to get his security paid for. Because
do you reckon that'll happen?
Absolutely, absolutely. Wow. I think there's no possibility that he is going to be refused that security, because I think that downgrading effort that happened before, which he then was one of the reasons why he flounced out of the UK, I don't think that can stand anymore. I think the threat risk is higher. I think because they're not going to be living at royal properties, suddenly you're going to need like loads of security.
Yeah, to and from school, all of that.
To and from school, it's going to be really expensive, more expensive probably than we projected it was going to cost, but he is absolutely going to get it. And to be honest with you, I don't necessarily think it's wrong. It's frustrating because he's left and he's flounced out and he said he didn't want anything to do with this country. So what he should do is apologise. Absolutely.
The contrition thing, we talked about it all last week. I wouldn't be giving him Jack until he goes somewhere and says, I'm very sorry, as is my wife, for what we've said about the British public. But I can't get away from the fact that I don't think this is long-term. I think this is 6 months to a year. I don't know. And then you get into the argument about why would you move kids' schools. Listen to this, though. This is really interesting. Sussex Security, Bill in Cheshire. If the state can pay for those two grifters, why can't it pay for the security of a sitting MP and leader of the most popular political party in this country who's received multiple death threats, 597 last year, Nigel Farage? That's a really good point.
But that's exactly what I said this so before. I would absolutely pay for Nigel's security because you know the level of threat that he's under.
Yep.
And I can kind of see why people say it for Harry as well. By the way, Nigel is actually democratically elected.
Yeah.
So there's even more reason for why he should get his security paid for, because he's the leader of a political party that's currently topping the polls. The burn bounces over, people.
Just so you're aware, I can't go into too much detail, but as you know, we've been telling you for the best part of a week, there's a massive world exclusive tomorrow. Isabel Oakeshott and Christian Drogan will provide on this show tomorrow morning something that no other journalist has done. I'm not going any further than that. And live at 8 o'clock, reacting to it, will be Nigel Farage, only on Talk Breakfast tomorrow, 6:22. Now, 0344 499 1000, you think you deserve a mug, yeah?
Yeah, of course I think I
Why?
deserve a mug.
Why?
Because I'm here. I'm here. I'm doing
You're
a
being
show
paid
with
to
you.
be here.
Yeah, but I want a mug. I want a payment in kind.
Payment in kind.
Yeah.
How
much is that
let
mug
me get
worth?
this right. Let me get this right. It's £100. So let me get this right. You're happy to. This is great business, by the way.
I'm not having you set up how
Her
much I
fee
want.
has gone. So you're happy to take a mug today instead of payment. That's
Not
it.
the mug that's been up near your mug. I want a fresh mug. Okay?
But a fresh mug instead of payment for this shift.
Yeah, I think we can value it at £2.50. No. Oh, hang on. That was a.
That's
that was
two
a slate of
shows.
tongue.
That's two shows.
That was a slate of tongue. No, absolutely not. No, I'm not having that.
That was a slate of
Slate
tongue.
of tongue? Oh, shut up. I was travelling back from Thorpe Forsaken last night. I'm very tired.
Get your keys. Morning, Debs.
Good morning, Jeremy. It's Debbie from Bedford. I spoke to you last week about the mug. I just want to thank you so much. You said your mailroom will take months, but it took 3 days. My mugs arrived Friday. Sadly, the idiot postman threw them over my neighbour's fence. But I live on my own, so one was broken, but one survived. I just want to say thank you. And I now have my talkTV mug while I sit and watch you. Thank you. I so much appreciate that.
Sorry. We went to all that trouble and wrapped him up and some idiot postman threw it over the fence and smashed it. Are you joking?
What did he read it? Fragile on it. It went, oh, I'm going to go for the,
There's a dog in there,
over-the-top
bang, that's
shot
gone.
put.
Honestly, what's that like?
Well, that was supposed to be my mug, maybe. That
Well,
was
there
the
you are.
mug
You
that
can
you've
go
just
to wherever
taken
she
from
lives
me.
and piece it up together.
I'll glue the shards together.
So they are, ladies and gentlemen. Debbie got a mug. There is no budget. It annoys everybody, but I don't give a toss. Poppy Coburn this morning says she deserves a mug because she's here doing a job. She's prepared to take that mug instead of payment this morning. If you are lifting, don't, mate. You know how hard it is to be paid by this lot. Anyway, you might have an easy chance to get a mug. 0344 499 1000. What do you want to talk about today? Security for the Sussexes. Should we or shouldn't we? David Blunkett, ex-Home Secretary, says we should. Poppy Coburn says it's inevitable, but underlined, the only way these two can get from where they are to where they want to be is publicly standing up and apologising for everything. Want to hear from you. It's Talk Breakfast, back in 3.
some member of the public. They said, if you were Andy Burnham, what would be the first thing that you would sort out in the UK? And I was thinking of what would be the popular consensus, not the political consensus, because I don't think the public are as concerned about rough sleeping as they are about potholes. Why doesn't he sort out the potholes and send a message to people, we're actually going to improve the quality of life in the United Kingdom? And
but
so
potholes don't matter as much as people. I mean, you can't be saying that.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back to 6:27. It's Monday morning, the 24th of August. You would Talk Breakfast, the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock. Britain. Poppy Coburn from The Independent is here, having locked herself out of the house last night. We're just reminiscing about the Reform Party conference last year. You had a nightmare there as well, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is another thing for my partner. He booked accommodation 45 minutes away from
You weren't happy
the place
that
that
night?
we're supposed to be. No, I definitely wasn't when the cab was going home either. And I was very, very tired. And yet we still weren't there on the motorway. So
if you are going to the Reform Party conference, and I'm available for all party conferences, we'll be hosting it and having some fun in 2 weeks' time. Morning, Poppy and Jeremy. Asylum seekers to get the free trips to the seaside seem to win a council house. Hard-working Brits get a gobstopper. Cheers from Keith in Nottingham. I don't disagree. Harry's security. This is interesting. Harry has a higher threat level because of his stupid bragging about the number of Taliban insurgents he killed in Afghanistan. He was told by senior officers and comrades not to talk about this, but he ignored their advice. You reap what you sow. Jez, I'm fed up with this Montecito saga soap opera already. It's driving me nuts. They're not even here yet. Morning, Jez. Lindsay from... Can I have a mug from Friday's show, please? Did we promise her one on Friday? Christian, I have never seen Christian look so pained as the thought of just giving away mugs. It worries him enormously. There's great things going on in the world and I'm giving away mugs we haven't got. Hi, Jez, great show. I've got MS and I'm totally wheelchair-bound. Can I play the disabled card, please, to claim one of your great mugs, says Keith in Scotland. I mean, I think he's absolutely bypassed your desire for a mug, and any sort of person, Poppy Coburn, would say Keith in Forres in Scotland deserves to have that
am I
mug.
at the back of the queue?
You are after Keith,
I
yeah.
think I am. If everyone else has a story like that, I'm right at the back of the queue.
Morning, Jez. Pops, Damon from Wicked. If we give Harry and Meghan full security, then what's next? Andrew gets full security again, and at the end of the day, they're non-working royals. They do not deserve full security because they give nothing to Britain.
I do understand it. I mean, it's not something that I'm completely sat on. I just think they're going to get it. I think there's no world where they don't get the security, and it is only from conversation I've had with people that used to run royal security operations. They'll be like, it's too high of a threat level. They're not going to let that risk exist.
Chris says something that a lot of people have said. Love to know your take on this. Poppy and Jez, sad to say, and I don't want to say this, he says, but I think the king is a weak man. Those two grifters should have had their titles taken away years ago.
Well, I mean, the problem is that if you go away and you say that, I mean, as Harry did in an interview, that I can't see myself ever bringing my wife and children back to this country, and now you have come back and you haven't released any statement explaining why you've come back, then people are going to start asking questions.
And Christine, loads of people texting, the cynics, and I'm one of them, would go, it's got to be because your opportunities have disappeared.
Well,
it's got to be for money, and it's got to be for money. And then that makes me think, what are you going to do if you're not in the inner circle? You're going to release stuff? I can't... I just don't trust them. Sorry, is that the wrong thing to say?
Well, the money is interesting because it's going to cost them a lot more to get their security here than it would in Montecito, because they were living in a gated community before. That won't be the case in the UK.
What community?
A gated community.
She said something else then.
Dirty mind.
No!
They won't have that problem in the United States. They will have that problem in the
absolutely.
UK. Also, in the United States, they're like one amongst many, many mega celebrities. Here in the UK, they will be much higher profile, obviously, because they're part of our royal family. But where is the earning opportunities going to be for them? Because they've basically monetised the Sussex brand. I don't really think people want to buy the Sussex brand.
And also, somebody said something to me last week, and I was thinking about this over the weekend. What he will do, what he can do, is sort of ally himself to more charities and do work like that and keep a profile. But let's not forget, Centre Ballet and I think one other charity got rid of him, and there's all sorts of court cases, which also perhaps tells you something about the person. Perry, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. I'd like to think that most talk listeners are on the same level as me, and I must say, I reckon if you'd done a poll, I reckon that most of us, or majority of your listeners don't care about Meghan and Harry. I think you should do a poll and find out whether or not you should keep talking about this, because it's getting on my nerves. I'm not interested, and I can imagine many of your other listeners aren't interested if they're on the same wavelength as me. Please stop talking about them. They're getting on my nerves. I don't care.
It's really interesting, actually, and I'm going to be really honest, Perry, because I always have been honest. You would be astonished if I told you, right, that I share that, and many people share that. If you look at the data, the audience, when you talk about this, goes through the roof in terms of reaction. Maybe it is that feeling of frustration about these two. I mean, you know that from the newspapers. It's true. That's why it's again on the front of the Sun newspaper. This is a business. The Sun newspaper. Talk is a business. At the end of the day, you know this, don't you? It's extraordinary, the reaction.
It's true. I think everyone knows that they want to not give them the airtime. They don't want to give them the attention. They don't want to give them the oxygen, because that's what they so desperately want. But it is so hard not to talk about. People do everyone has an opinion on it. That's the thing. Everyone in the country has an opinion on it. Even if that opinion is, God, I hate these people, I don't want to hear about them. It's still an opinion.
Sarah Bird says, morning, Jez and the lovely Poppy. As a family, we used to went to West Bay down near Lyme Regis. Lovely place. Hoping to go there soon. John in Germany. Oh, I see. Listen here. Today's my birthday and I follow West Ham. If anyone deserves a mug, it's me. Keep up the good work. So we've got the gentleman who's disabled. We've got Poppy Coburn, who's just basically incapable of holding... I mean, you probably lost all your mugs or left them in your flat.
That's not my mugs.
Well, why do you want a mug?
I'm going to take that mug when I walk out the studio. I'm going to wait until you're distracted, and I'm just going to take it.
Morning, Jez. Great show. I have a lazy eye, so I'm also playing the disability card. Can I have a mug, please? Can you give it to Poppy because she's a legend? Paul in Tynemouth. Honestly, you crawler. What's the lazy eye got to do with it? Morning, Jez. Considering a royal family is one of the richest families on the planet, why the hell don't they pay for their own goddamn security?
Well, but I don't think they've got the money for it. I genuinely think that they're low on cash.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. This is a story in the Mail, page 17, if you've got the Mail in front of you. Page 11, actually. Fury. Talk about government waste pops, and we talk about, we're talking there about money maybe on Harry and Meghan. Get this, civil servants who work from home are being handed 600 grand of our money to pay for their heating bills. Sorry, can you please tell me I'm not going mad?
Can we just work out the logic on this, right? So the story is supposed to be, because these people are working from home, they should have conditions like you would have in an office, which is that you'd have proper heating. Although I think some people's workplaces, they would argue they don't get the heating. But let's put that aside for one moment. Can we take that logic a little bit further? If I'm an employee of my job, then my home is relevant to my job, right? So can I start asking them for home improvements because it will increase my productivity at work? Can I say that, can you buy me a nice flat screen TV because I find it really hard to unwind on the weekend because I've got a really tiny TV screen and it's causing eye strain.
Oh, you got eye strain.
And it makes it really difficult
I have to give you a mug.
So why has work not bought me a flat screen TV? Like, I don't really understand.
Can I drop something in? You know the people who work from home because apparently it's for balance, right? How much do they save on travel? Why don't you spend that on your heating bill? I cannot understand how civil servants... I mean, people have told me for years, and you would know more of this than me, that civil servants seem to have this unbelievable control over government policy. They seem to have this ability to call the shots. I remember when Rwanda was going on, and I didn't necessarily agree with Rwanda, but I remember coming here one day and Christian telling me that, well, maybe it was when we were on drive, but that a bunch of civil servants in the Home Office were so appalled by the government's idea of Rwanda that they employed a lawyer at taxpayers' expense to take a democratically elected government to court to get a policy that the British people had voted for thrown out. I thought to myself, how the hell... Sorry, who gave all these civil servants this power?
Well, I mean, it's because they can get away with it. It's like they cannot they cannot be sacked. Honestly, they cannot be sacked.
You can't sack a civil servant. Give me the job for a day. I'd sack them all.
There was a very, very funny story from the beginning of the Starmer government about someone who was working as a speechwriter, which is technically a civil servant job.
Right.
It was not a political speechwriter. It was just someone that was helping around the details. And they couldn't locate this person. They were looking all over for him. They were trying to call him up. He wasn't responding. Turns out that while he was still taking his civil servant salary, he'd moved to North Wales and he'd started a new life as a sheep farmer.
Sorry, can we rewind?
Yeah.
He was a civil servant,
Yes.
and he started
taking a very high, I think it was like a band 6 civil servant salary, and they couldn't get in contact with him. Everyone had just forgotten that he was still working there, and then someone.
But he
finally...
wasn't working there. He was herding sheep
but
in
he
North
was
Wales.
still on the payroll. He was still on the payroll because it's so rarely that they bother checking in with everyone.
That sort of story infuriates me, like the Callacane story that I discovered 2 weeks ago, that piece of crap is sitting in jail, as are many others, being given almost £1,000 a month in benefits to go into an account. I mean, we talk about government waste. We talk about giving the French 500 million a year to just wave boats over. It's ludicrous, isn't it?
But this is classic computer says no. Like, you would look at that and say, all right, this is terrible. Is anyone going to do anything about it? Is anyone going to change this policy to make sure that this doesn't happen again? Well, it's really difficult because of
What do they do with the sheep farmer from Wales? Did they sack him?
Well, I don't actually know. That's the best part of the story, because I tried to follow it up and there's just no information about it. So let's hope that he's still taking his civil servant salary. I mean, at least his sheep will be well fed.
So I'd love to know what you think of that. Civil servants working from home are going to get over 600 grand amongst them to pay their heating bills, whilst you alarm clock Brits are out there working. 0344 499 1000. Another story today. This is in the Sun, page 17. Fury. It's catastrophic. We're spending 500 grand a day detaining illegal migrants and moving them around the country. Well, without wanting to appear cynical, we're not detaining any of them, so that's a load of old tosh. £500,000 a day, which is about £180 million a year, to move them around the country. What, in chauffeur-driven cars and Ubers? What's that all about?
Is it a super stretch limo? Like, how much is it? How much money is it costing? I mean, I guess that's the depressing thing is it's probably not a super stretch limo. It's just that we have so many people who are in the country that we're paying for. That these are the sums that we're now looking at every single day.
Honestly, I can't...
And these are taxis for medical appointments. These are taxis for them when they want to go into town, I assume.
Somebody was telling me the other day that illegal migrants have to report into, well, whether it's the job centre or something, and we were talking about interpreters, right? Because that's another thing. We had a Labour MP on last week. You missed this, didn't you? Sam Rushworth from Bishop Auckland, who said that every single illegal migrant speaks English. We spent 100 million on interpreters last year, Sam. His other great line was, it has to happen because of colonialisation. I went, oh, cat's out the bag, right?
That's a punishment. Thanks, that's great.
But interestingly, they come here and we're giving all of these things, and they have to have an appointment. And for those who can't speak English, we book an interpreter. It was somebody from a job centre contacted us last week. If the person doesn't turn up for the appointment, which happens 9 times out of 10, they still have to pay the interpreter. And they might have brought them from Yorkshire in a cab. The whole thing is absolute rubbish.
I'd be interested to see someone do a bit of a deep dive on the interpreter thing, because it's got to be the only jobs creation scheme that exists still in this country. How many interpreters does the government actually have on the payroll?
Yeah.
I would love to know the number. It's got to be in the tens of thousands at the very least. Because at every court case they're there, every single migration legal hearing they're there.
I'd love to hear from you. 500 grand a day moving illegal migrants around the country. I wonder, well, just deport them. It's beyond me now. I've got to a point where I'm so angry. Raymond, good morning.
Morning, Talk TV. It's Ray from Birmingham. Regarding the pair of grifters, can't they stay with Andy?
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Have you noticed something about the other presenters on this station? they've got nations, they've got empires, they've got exchanges, and I've just got a studio. Peter Cardwell's exchange. Ian Collins is nation.
What do you want to identify as? As like a king or
as a
an
mug.
emperor?
I want to identify as a mug, yes.
Oh, of course.
Have you got any novelty mugs at home?
Have I got any novelty mugs at home?
It's a good one. Any novelty mugs, peeps? 87222.
Yeah,
Novelty
that's,
mugs?
That's pretty good. I've smashed most of my nice mugs over the time.
Why?
Butterfingers. Well, not on purpose.
So you drop mugs, you lock yourself out. It's not going great, mate. Do you wonder why your boyfriend's gone back to his parents?
Yeah.
Morning, Jess. Please give a mug to Harry and Meghan. No, I bloody well won't. That'll be the next thing. The country is falling apart. This is really important, Chris. And these two get all this attention. Burnham must be laughing at the fact the media are concentrating on them, yeah. Any chance I could buy a mug? Carl, no. Helen in London, I'm not interested in ginger and whinger. Move on. I don't want a mug. As a hard-working Brit, I'm starting to think I am one. Very good. Cliff, good morning. Morning, JK and Poppy. Do you think Harry has more chance of getting 24-hour security, getting a talkTV mug? Mind you, if they do get security, they'd have 70 million mugs funding it. That's the line. That's the line of the morning. Jez, Poppy, I don't think I can take 40 more years of this entitled whinging crap. I don't care. Linda, P.S. How is your father, Meghan? It's a good point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Never been to see her father, never thought about that. Ash is in Brum, not the Ash. Not Ash Gould, the legend. As a taxpayer, I feel like a mug, so can I please have a mug? Talking about mugs, I want you to help me out with this. The Green Party, they had an enormous sort of bounce earlier in the season. They won earlier in the season, 40 games
What, season
in. 14
finale?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I can't even believe that Dave Palansky's garnered any sort of support, but he did, and they won Gorton and Denton, and for a time they were sort of second in the polls, and everybody was saying they could form a government with Labour. They've started to trickle in the wrong direction, and it's now become impossible, I think, for anybody to take them seriously. Just tell me, as a respected journalist, the Greens are calling for the police to lose tasers and pepper spray, and for us as a society to move away from police and prisons. Their ultimate aim is for the closure of all prisons. Forgive everybody, open every single border. Nobody should be suffering. It's not fair. A Green Party spokesman said conference is still like weeks away. Yeah, it's my hippie thing. And like members have only just submitting motions. They're like, we can't decide yet, so we're gonna have some couscous, like, and get yeah. Honestly, twaddle. But what do you make of that?
What's the plan for police? Stop in the name of the law, put your hands up, and then what, they're holding a flower?
No, you can break the law. You can break the law, and nobody should do anything. Have you not seen them?
What's the point of police officers? They just call them social workers.
Do you remember during the Makerfield by-election, the only time I actually thought Fiona Bruce got anything right? That Green woman went... Yes. I mean, sorry, are reforms suggesting that the lack of housing is because of illegal migrants? How utterly outrageous. What bloody planet was she on?
Yeah, she was doing this strange thing where she was huffing and rolling her eyes as the Reform candidate was speaking, and everyone being like, you do realise that this is what 99.9% of the country believes? Like, you do realise that you're the crazy one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Greens are barking mad, civil servants are working from home, interpreters, this has got you going. Jez, I was in hospital, said John recently, and when a translator came to help a man in the next door bed, he refused to speak to her. He wanted a man. She said to me, I don't care, I'm going to get paid anyway.
Is that the best job of all time, being a female interpreter? It's even easier than being a civil servant. You don't even have to turn up to work.
Have you ever been to Tenbury and Wells?
Can't say I have.
Dave says, why pay for interpreters? Why don't we just get them to use Google Translator? It's a lot cheaper. Great. Pammy says, why should people be paid for working at home? 2 reasons. 1, they no longer have to pay to travel to work, also saving time, and their offices still have to be heated and kept tidy. Completely agree. Sarah, I think once William is king, he will strip Harry of his title. But yes, he should get security. Don't agree. Graham in Welling, this is Meghan Markle. I have my own mug. You know his name. Harry. Very good. Hev, good morning.
Good morning, Jez. Yeah, those grifters standing up in public and apologising. Well, you can read Harry. We know Harry a bit better. You can read his face and his expressions and his whatever. But the other one, no, I wouldn't believe a word she says. She thinks she's wonderful, and she thinks she's never done anything wrong. I mean, if Harry came back on his own or with the children, he might have a chance of being popular again, but with the other thing in tow, no, I'm afraid not. I wouldn't believe a word that they say, because Harry just keeps his mouth shut and he gets led by that one. So no.
That one, it. What? No, she is probably the most unpopular person in this country, isn't she? Can speak from a position of strength, having once been voted the second most hated person in the world.
Was she number one?
Did you not know that story?
No.
So years and years ago, when I was doing the Jeremy Kyle show, my agent rang me up and he went, just don't go and buy GQ magazine. I said, why? He said, well, they've done a poll for the 5 most hated people in the world, and Pol Pot's come 5th, Adolf Hitler's come 4th, Saddam Hussein's come 3rd, you've come 2nd, and Osama bin Laden's come 1st. It's true. And,
he's now out of the picture,
Well, no,
so
so when they
#1.
killed Osama bin Laden, I got it posthumously, and I've got this plaque, the most hated man in the world, honestly. So the only other thing I was God What's It of the Year, and I've got a life supply of Cavonia, but that's another story. It's a true story.
Do you have a medal for that most hated man in the world?
It was a
trophy or
plaque
something?
from GQ.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Do you think that's quite cool?
Yeah, I mean, that is something to talk about.
It's a bit like
to be the third most
it's a bit
hated
like
man
when
in
I
the world.
started the Jeremy Kyle show, and I remember somebody saying to me, "Don't ever read the press."
Yes.
And there were 2. It's day 3. There were 2, and I've got them in my study because it's brilliant. One was Charlie Booker, who wrote, "Watching Jeremy Kyle, preferable would be drinking, I think, a vat of sick or breaking your leg." And having no anaesthetic. And somebody else said in another newspaper, Jeremy Kyle was television like a second skin and is a genius. And I remember thinking, I think both those are probably not true. But
I mean, at least you're provoking reaction.
well, apparently I am.
Yeah.
Let's say good morning to a lady who always provokes reaction, because you two together are a right couple of pains. Good morning, Kinsey Schofield, host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered. She's looking quite serious this morning. How are you?
Jeremy Kyle's harem.
What?
You said Ian Collins gets an empire.
Jeremy Kyle's
Harem. Like
harem.
All of the ladies on your show.
harem. You can't even speak. Honestly, bloody Americans. Honestly, harem. What's harem, for goodness sake? Harem woman.
You already sound like a sultan. You're already putting people back in the place. God, it comes naturally to you.
Oh, she's a bit feisty this morning, is Poppy?
Well, that's why we love her. I saw Poppy did a great royalty. Poppy did a great podcast with The Telegraph about Harry and Meghan that I enjoyed immensely.
Did you?
I did indeed.
Did you? So it's led to other opportunities this
See,
early.
I've been talking about.
Do you think I should give her a mug or just pay her fee for this? Because there's a big thing about the mugs here on this show. We haven't got any budget, but we seem to be people are begging for them now.
I feel like you should give her a mug for having to get up at the crack of dawn and deal with you multiple times a week.
Why does everybody have a go at me, Kins? I feel quite sad.
Because you're so good looking. We're just so envious.
Oh, right, there we go. Right, listen, I'm going to ask you something, because we know in the media the answer to this. We were saying, somebody said earlier, why do we have to keep doing this? Why do we keep talking about Harry and Meghan? Do a poll, Jez, and everybody will say, not interested. But I know for a fact that we know this by looking at data, that the audience goes absolutely mad. We spoke on Friday. We were at She's Got Offered This Job in The Gentleman, a Guy Ritchie Netflix series. We don't know why they're coming, blah, blah, blah. Security, it's now Monday. The job was apparently withdrawn because of reaction, but apparently chats are still ongoing. Poppy Coburn said on this show, did you not? Mm-hmm. You absolutely believe they will end up getting the security that they say they want.
Yeah.
Mm.
Kins?
I think that it's very unfair to expect British taxpayers to pay for Harry and Meghan's schizophrenic behavior. At first, they told you they were moving to Canada. Then they decided to move to the United States at the last minute. I'm hearing reports that they are planning on staying in the United Kingdom for, I don't know, maybe a year before they head over to Australia. You know, why should you have to pay for these two people that are totally undisciplined and can't and won't commit to anything? Those are resources that could be used for people that commit their lives, dedicate their lives to your country and to the safety of your country and to the betterment of your country. And Harry and Meghan just want to dip in and out whenever they feel like they need a little royal electricity.
It's a really good analogy, isn't it?
I mean, if they're not even going to be here, that's really interesting, because I did wonder if this is a permanent move or not.
I don't think it is.
You can't trust their word anymore.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? And you think to yourself, right, is there a reason? I mean, we've all read reports over the weekend that says it could only be 6 months or a year, and absolutely, Kins, I read that, then Australia. What's this, a world tour, so that they can find themselves eventually somewhere where people go, OK, but I just think there's no... I don't think they grasp, not just in England, across the world, the depth of anger that people feel. And that's not, you know, the Republicans will say, oh, yes, they're great, they're great. But even that, right? Why do you want to use the monarchy, the very institution you called racist and outdated? Why do you want your kids to have titles, Kins? I don't understand that. Their problem is it's never been one way or the other. They muddy the waters and change their opinions, I think, depending on what they want.
They want their cake and they want to eat it too. Like, they want to have the royal titles, they want to be able to sell their brand and monetise it, but they don't want any of the responsibilities that come from it. And so I don't actually think that the security thing, I think it will upset loads of people. I do think it's an inevitability. I just don't see how the state isn't going to end up being on the hook for it. But I can see why people are furious, because they go, well, why do we have to fit the bill for your indecisiveness? That's not what the royal family's supposed to be for.
It's absolutely true, isn't it, Kins?
I mean, what we love about the British royal family is that they are reliable, they are stable. You know, we know what we're getting from them. Harry and Meghan are completely unpredictable, and you know, it's like Harry saying he's looking forward to going to Ukraine again soon. You know, why? Because you choose to put yourself in these positions. First of all, who are you representing when you go to Ukraine? But when you put yourself in these positions, why are other people, dangerous positions, why are other people expected to pay to keep you safe? You are the consequences have, you know, actions have consequences. If you are going to put yourself in those difficult positions, then you should have to deal with how to protect yourself and what the consequences are.
But of course, the reality, as you said earlier, Poppy, is that they're going to be private-ish citizens. They've enrolled their kids in a school. They're going to take the kids to school every single day. It's a nightmare logistically in terms of security. But I understand people's complete frustration. And I think what you said, what you both said is right. There's no consistency to them. We don't know actually what they... If they said, we're coming back forever and everything's great, fantastic. But they don't do that, do they?
Yeah, well, the question is, again, like, where does the king fit into all of this? Is this a temporary measure?
Yeah.
Because it's actually been the king that's offered an olive branch. I've heard people say that as well. Like, is it actually him that said, you know, I want to make sure that I can smooth things over between my two sons? Or is it going to be I expect you to be back home permanently, and then when they go again, it's going to create a lot of upset within Buckingham Palace? And
of course, without wanting to be conspiratorial, and I mean this absolutely, are they only coming for 6 months or a year because the king is really ill? I don't know. I find myself every day thinking there's so much to talk about, but the thing
that is why in my palace sources are telling me they are livid that Harry's team suggested that Harry's only goal was to get out there to spend more time with the king, because that's automatically the question everyone is asking. So now it's jeopardized the king's authority, because we're all saying, is he worse off than we thought he was? But to your caller's point earlier, Thomas Markle would love a phone call too. It's interesting that we're pandering to the father figure that has the fortune and that has this social ranking.
I couldn't agree more, and I just understand people's cynicism. I understand. I mean, the story about this gentleman, this Netflix series with Guy Ritchie, that I mean, it's weird, weirdly okay, but weird. I mean, did she get off for it? Did she put it out there? Every time I hear anything about these two grifters, I think to myself, has this come from you? Has it come from another source? What's the actual truth? But it garners, and you're right, and I get the people who are frustrated. I get people who are going, hold on a minute, Andy Burnham's in Kyiv today. Should we be talking about that? We should be talking about those hero police officers, which we're going to do, you know, who died chasing those TikTok kids. Terrible, terrible stories. Why does this garner so much interest, Kinsey Schofield? Why?
I think that it garners so much interest because in what world... it's that these two people are so delusional, and it is fascinating to watch. In what world, if you spoke negatively about a former employer and accused them of racism and leaked private internal memos or communication between individuals that were in that company, in what world would you think that it would be okay for you to come back and work or be offered a job within that company again? Like, they're just very delusional, and I think we watch and we're just kind of obsessed with the fact that they just lack any and all sense of reality.
Yeah. And therein, of course, for the monarchy, both of you, therein causes an even bigger problem, because all the people who see the monarchy as nothing more than an expensive liability that costs us so much, then have fuel to say, look at these two grifters. And of course, the king, that's the gig, isn't it? That's the gig. Unfortunately, you can't please all the people all the time. Come out and please your subjects by saying, no, son, you're not having this. We've told you before, this is give or take. Then if he doesn't protect them and something happens, or they don't cut, it's a nightmare. But this is what these two do. They create nightmares the whole time, Kins.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I just noticed that Poppy and I are wearing almost the same outfit, so I'm so glad we got the memo this morning. Sorry to be distracting, but I wanted to talk about...
That's my harem. Or harem. It's my harem.
That's right. No, you can't control them. And in this instance, they're showing you that they can't be controlled, and they refuse to be controlled, because I believe firmly that the king, along with Prince William, would have advised them against returning to the United Kingdom so quickly, because they are so deeply unpopular, and they are going to face a lot of rejection, and they're going to face a lot of harsh criticism. And we know how sensitive Meghan Markle is, period, not can be, just typically is. I mean, she did 6 hours of Netflix complaining about the British media. Does she really think that her big return is going to be celebrated? Absolutely not. You guys are going to be counting every single contradiction and holding her accountable for those things.
It's so good to have you on. Thank you. I love my harem in the morning. We'll speak to you probably tomorrow, but thank you, darling, and look after yourself in LA. I've got something for you. Thank you very much, Steve Kinsey. Morning, Deb.
Yeah, well done, Poppy. You have your mug. You got your mug now. Good girl.
Well, to finish this segment, I found the oldest one.
The most scratched up mug.
The most scratched. It's not been washed. There is your mug. Don't drop it. There you go. The legend that is Poppy Schofield. I'm joking.
Poppy Schofield?
It's all gone.
Poppy Schofield?
That's the harem. They're all getting... How does that work?
Oh, my God.
So, Kinsey Coburn will be back tomorrow and Poppy Schofield on Thursday. News at 7 next. This is Talk Breakfast.
You know, when I'm doing these Vex Vicar programmes, I'm looking at our politicians right now, and I have to say that, you know, some of the stuff that's going on in our nation right now, what I call $10 billion problems, but being dealt with by $2 politicians that just don't have the bandwidth, the chutzpah, or the ability to deal with what's going on in our nation right now. We've got Andy Burnham doing, like, videos, is it a cob or is it a bomb, whilst we've got a Russian warship playing games in our seas.
The entire city is being overwhelmed, and there are people who bear direct responsibility. Those responsible are the national government, led by Pedro Sanchez and his ministers, as well as Mr. Marlaska, and of course, the European institutions, which have completely failed in what's supposed to be the European Union's external border.
Which country in Europe wipes everybody else's backside but its own people? Here.
Well, Morocco, of course, is hosting the next World Cup. I mean, are we suggesting that...
Oh, don't start me on the World Cup. We'll get
the country that is hosting the next World Cup is too unsafe. It's so unsafe.
Oh, great point.
That people have to cross continents to come to Europe. And of course, I have seen personally examples of this. People come from Morocco into Spain, across to the mainland, up France, through the south of France, up to the north of France, where they reach Calais and then eventually come to the UK.
It is a cause for concern, and we are making contact with the Spanish government, the Spanish authorities, to provide support, but also to understand the implications of that situation.
Some of you might remember a poster I put out 10 years ago called Breaking Point, where I showed vast numbers illegally breaking into the European Union. I made the point that if we vote for Brexit, we'll have the power to stop those people coming here. Sadly, the Tories failed us, Labour have failed us. Believe me, unless we get a reform government, those scenes you're seeing in Spain today, many of those young men, lots of them dangerous, will be heading towards Calais and coming to our country too. It is time to wake up. This is a battle for the future of our civilization. I can't put it any more plainly than that.
When you look at what happened to Spain, they don't know what to do. And it's happening again today. They're coming in by the tens of thousands. They're just invading the country. And what that is weak law, bad management, but very liberal law. They passed a couple of laws, and people read. You know, people are smart. They read from other countries, and they swam that 3-mile sweat law, however they got in, but nobody's seen anything like it. That will look good compared to what's going to happen to the United States. The biggest thing, the worst thing that Biden did is allowing 25 million people into our...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back and welcome along. Just gone 7 o'clock. What is it? Monday, the 24th of August. You would talk breakfast. It's the home of common sense, of course, and where your views on the day's news matter to us. And the A-team are back. Tommy is taking your calls after a late night. 0344 499 1000 to call, to leave a voice note. You can text 87222. Start your message with the word talk. Julian in Newport, I left the discussion about the horror killing of those two officers because in the first hour it's a very different hour. Anybody who's got any gumption at all will have read this story about those two hero police officers killed by those feral idiots driving the wrong way on the A66, and their heart will go out not just for them and their families and the police that had to attend and deal with that. The fact is, kids like that are putting these videos on social media and TikTok, and it's encouraging behaviour that needs to be stamped down again. I completely agree. Front page of the Mail this morning, children are not safe on the internet, says the head of the National Crime Agency, Graham Bigger, issued that stark message to parents amid rocketing reports of child abuse as well. There surely has to be a time or come a time, and some people go, you can't say that, I can, where large tech has to take responsibility. I'm not just saying it's not down to the government, but there has to be some way that these organisations who make trillions and trillions of dollars across the world have to face up to the responsibility that so much of what they allow on their platforms, TikTok, social media, X, whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to make this, but think about television and Ofcom. Think about, quite rightly, that procedure where you can complain. Somebody said to me the other day, it's absolutely true. There's not that. You see Meta in court at the moment, quite rightly too. If there is content on an outlet that is endangering lives or encouraging behaviour that endangers lives, then the people that run those organisations most definitely should be put in the dock and should face up to the responsibility that they do. Love your thoughts on that, please. 0344 499 1000. What are you waking up to? You're waking up to the news. Well, there's a big argument over the security of Harry and Meghan. David Blunkett, ex-Home Secretary, says they should get some. Most of you, like I think they shouldn't because they're non-working royals. We've got some extraordinary stories of government waste this morning. 500 grand a day is spent just ferrying illegal migrants around the country. That's £3.5 million a week. Just use it to tell them to do one. Get them into the detention centre. Get her out. I don't know. The other one, which has caused such consternation, quite rightly. Civil servants who work from home are going to be handed up to £600,000, that's between a bunch of them, to heat their homes because they want the homes to be warm. What about the money they save from not going to work? Call me old-fashioned and call me boring. The Greens, they're in the news this morning. They think that we shouldn't... Well, basically, they think we shouldn't have police or prisons. Everybody should just run on amok. They don't believe in tasers. They don't believe in pepper spray. Summing up, I think, quite rightly, a bunch of Again, no mention of a tree or a river or things that are supposed to be environmental. No, let's do that. Reform UK this morning saying that working Brits, married Brits, veterans will be favoured in the line for social housing. Thank God. We told you before. Social housing is prioritised for illegal migrants. How does that work? What about the people who have paid and fallen on hard times in this country? And Kevin Badenoch this morning saying, and I quote, "I don't want any sort of horrible, horrible coalition with Reform. I want to do it myself." 0344 499 1000. No. Been handed the ultimate story. Ben Habib, chairman of Great British Bat. More than that, top man. Good morning, Benjamin. How are you?
Good morning. Good. Very well indeed. Thank you, Jeremy.
I'm going to start very differently to how I thought I was going to start, because I know with you, with your St George's flag there and everything that you are, you're like me, you're a patriot. Ready for this? Watch Ben Habib's face if you're watching on YouTube, or listen to his reaction on the radio. We've just announced this story in the news. Police officers who identify as gender fluid have been issued with both male and female warrant cards, allowing them to lose different identification on different days. So if day one you want to be Dave and next day you want to be Davina, that apparently is fine. Leicestershire, Norfolk and some Suffolk police confirmed they had issued more than one identity card to officers to reflect their different genders and give them a chance on a daily basis to describe how they're feeling, Ben Habib. Isn't that lovely?
Well, that's our criminal justice system sorted out then, isn't it?
Jesus.
We can all rest at night. We're secure. We can be gender fluid in the application of the law. Terrific.
Is it not just... I so worry that the basics of what I believe a country is about, which is security and law and order and all those things, are just being lost. And we've got to the point where we laugh about it, but it's frightening, isn't it?
It is frightening. I watched, I don't know if you saw this, it was on X yesterday, as it transpired, AI-generated images of police officers physically tackling people on those little scooters who go around nicking watches and stuff, absolutely tackling them head-on, nailing them to the ground. And I thought, before I realised it was AI, I thought, thank goodness for that. They've developed a backbone. They're actually doing some policing. And then I read below and it was all AI. Of course, we don't do anything like that. You know, we're more interested in gender fluidity.
Why are we so... How and what? Not what. How have we become this soft is what I worry about. Because I don't... Unless I live under a rock somewhere, I don't meet anybody who doesn't think that this is utterly, utterly ludicrous. That indeed there should be, in each and every way, you know, an example made of criminals that we...
Position for the country to be in. One might describe it, I think, as end of civilizational kind of stuff. We've become so weak and so subdued by our own economic prosperity over decades that we don't understand what it takes what it takes to make sure that we don't lose that economic prosperity, that we don't lose our security. We're so inured to taking risks that we're so inured to any adversity, I should say, that we simply don't understand what we need to do to protect ourselves. We're prepared because we believe in humanity all being perfectly nice and cuddly to take our borders down. We think criminals deserve as fair a shake of the dice as the victims do that they've attacked and they've put into difficulty. We've lost the plot. And as I say, some might regard this as end of civilizational kind of stuff. Someone else said to me a very interesting thing the other day. They said that, you know, when the interest bill on your debt exceeds the amount that you're spending on your security, in other words, defense,
there you go.
You're basically spending more money on keeping yourself in largesse than you are on protecting yourself. You don't understand what's important. We've become so civilized that we don't recognize there's got to be an element of barbarism in ourselves
I also
to be
think,
able to fight for ourselves.
I completely agree, and that sort of fighting. I mean, you weren't around last week, but I had this Labour MP on, Sam Rushworth from Bishop Auckland. We were talking about the migration situation, and he said two obvious things that obviously aren't true. He said they all speak English. Well, I put to him, we spend £100 million a year on interpreters, so that's a completely invalid thing. And then he let slip, which I think is part of why we've got to this madness. He said, well, it's due to our colonialisation in years gone by, so it's almost like a punishment. I cannot. I mean, there's a story today.
Don't buy that.
No, it's a story today in the Sun. 500 grand a day to move migrants, Ben. Right? I mean,
yeah, it's absurd.
I mean, £3.5 million a week, £15 million a month, £180 million a year. What, to send them in private taxis? I don't care who this upsets. I'll keep saying it. I was in Bournemouth again yesterday. I had to pick something up. Harry Redknapp was right the other week. It's an unbelievably... It's changed. The whole face of places like Bournemouth have changed. And for all those people who go... I mean, and I get so angry with this, Ben. They go, oh, war-torn. No, we've done that. We've done the France tent thing. We've done the 7 countries. We've done you bring your wife and kids. Our towns are beginning to look changed. And I will stand in front of any lefty who will tell me that that makes us look good on the international scale. Well, there's two things. No, it doesn't. We're a laughingstock. But more than that, you're doing it to the detriment of the British people. And that will come back and bite you on the backside. It's got to.
Absolutely. I mean, aside from the economic impact, which is vast, and we can go into that in greater detail if you like, it's the setting aside of our culture, what it means to be British. And many politicians will roll their eyes at that statement and dismiss it as something that's irrelevant, the culture wars. They all want to focus on the economy. But actually, if we as a people are not unified, if we as a people don't identify with each other, if we don't feel that we are in a community and a society and a country, we will not pull together. We will not be able to work as a coherent force. And that's what's happening. Our country is being set aside in this way. And I see, as you do, locally, a completely different demographic to what used to be here. Habitually now, women wearing burqas. I see dozens and dozens of them every day. They used to be the exception. And the burqa is the optical representation of a dramatically different culture taking root in the United Kingdom, a culture where women are effectively repressed. It is the outward expression of the inward repression of women. It stands in opposition to what it means to being British. So how can we, as a country, go forward with confidence when our very value system is being pulled out from underneath our feet? That is what we are seeing every single day. And that will not just affect our culture in the way that I've described it. It will affect our security. It will affect our economy. It'll affect every aspect of our lives. If we have a broken culture, we cannot be a country and we cannot therefore be prosperous or sovereign. And politicians need to wake up to that. Sovereignty, a belonging, a sense of collectiveness, family, community, it all comes from a common culture. And that's what's being so damaged.
I couldn't agree more. And I sit here many days and I think, how do we get to this point? I've argued till I'm blue in the face with people who will look me and they will say about these people, these poor people. And when I say to them, have you gone outside of the M25 bubble and spoken to great British working people? Because they are up to their back teeth with being put at the back of the queue. And something ultimately will give. But it doesn't make any sense to me that we're giving 500 million to the French to stand there and wave migrants in. We're commandeering hotels and ruining local councils. We're trying local communities. We're trying to con British people, not we, they are, by saying we're moving them out of hotels into HMOs, into communities, not communities. And then we've got a Prime Minister who's too terrified to do anything about it because he knows he's only there because of the left. And he says we're going to spread them more amongst the middle class. Well, I don't hear from anybody is we need to stop them coming. We need to make it less attractive. We need to discover a backbone and stick up for the British people. But I can tell you that attitude and what you've said, I'll have people say to me, that's racist, that is. How would you... What if somebody said to you what you've just said is racist? What would you say, Ben Habib?
But I haven't touched colour. I haven't touched ethnicity. What I've touched is basically an understanding of who we are as a people, what it means to be British. It cannot be offensive to anyone to any sane-minded individual in this country or indeed abroad that we should wish to be anything other than British. How can that be offensive? It is our country. It is our right. It is our obligation to protect ourselves, to protect our way of life, to protect those whom we love, and to make sure that we are not set asunder by a whole load of antithetical cultures which come into our country and undermine who we are. That is the thing that we used to go to war over. The reason we went to war against Germany was because our value system, our democracy, our way of life was threatened by Germany. If everything was seen purely through an economic prism, we would have just said, well, come on in then, let's have a come in. We won't defend ourselves. There are things that are worth dying for. There are things worth fighting for. And one of them is our way of life and who we are as a people. And our politicians and decades of governance by politicians of the same like-mindedness has basically set that aside. They eschew it. They think and they use words like racism if we wish to protect who we are as a people.
It's so interesting, and for me, is never going to go away until something, you know. I don't want anything to happen, but it feels like it's bubbling away, doesn't it? Let's talk about another one of your favourite subjects. Great story today. Lots of waste by this government. You know, 500 million to the French, a welfare benefits bill that now outskips what we get back in tax. Civil servants who work from home are going to be part of there's a grant of 600 grand. It's going to be paid to pay for their heating, Ben Habib. So hard-working Brits, alarm clock Brits right now, been working all night, the van's packed, they're doing whatever. They're working, they're grafting, they're doing what they should do with a smile on their face. Civil servants can work from home, will pay their heating costs because it's really chilly in the winter.
Yeah, and, you know, it used to be illegal to use your home as an office from a planning perspective. You're not meant to be doing it. A home is meant to be a home. You're not meant to be working at home from a planning perspective. And yet we see the government effectively encouraging the breaking of planning laws by handing out, you know, goodies to those who work from home. But this is part of this namby-pamby dependency victimhood culture that we've created, the kind of end of civilizational stuff that I was talking about, the lack of preparedness to put our people first and putting foreigners over and above into our own detriment. This is all part of the same thing. It's why we've got a welfare bill that's £350 billion a year and the government's incapable of dealing with it. It's why we've got 4 million people out of work, not even looking for a job, getting full benefits. We are broken. And unless we discover the will to work, the desire to make the best for ourselves through our own endeavor and set aside this victimhood nonsense, set aside dependency, stand on their own 2 feet. And when they stand on their own 2 feet, they can keep that which they earn instead of taxing it away and then redistributing it to people who shouldn't get it. That's what we've got to rediscover. Apart from, in addition to, obviously, enforcing our borders and the rest of it.
I don't know whether you're described as politically homeless. I wouldn't pry, but if you are thinking of voting Green, I should point out to you this morning that Dave and his party of weirdos. Seriously, I'm sorry, I can't. They want, they're going to make an argument to say they want to lose tasers and pepper spray, but they actually want to go even further. They want to move away from a system or a country that has police and prisons. Their ultimate aim is for the closure of all prisons, although a Green Party spokesman last night said conference is still weeks away and members, who are obviously all mad, have only just started submitting motions. This is a party, a national party, that thinks they've got a chance by standing up and saying, we're not going to have any police and we're not going to have any prisons and we want open borders. Do these people not understand the sheer stupidity of a comment like that? It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. They might as well commit mass suicide, frankly. That's suicidal, what they're proposing for the country. It's absolute madness. They would expose every law-abiding individual to hostility and assault every single day.
Absolutely.
It is absurd.
If I was in power, I'd have more police, men and women on the streets than ever before, local information, get the knowledge and arrest people. I'd make sentences be the sentence that they actually get given. I do things if you're found with a knife, you got 5 years, and I don't give all. And I build prisons. I'd stop sending 15 billion a year in foreign aid. It's just about priorities.
We've got to toughen up.
Toughen up. We seem to have lost those priorities. I'm absolutely with you. Can I ask you quickly? The story I did at the top of the hour, that appalling story about those poor police officers. Iraq veteran PC was victim of joyride crash. These 2 coppers who were killed chasing these 5 feral young idiots on the A66 who had made a craze out of TikTok posting videos. 7 people killed. I said that I believe, just my opinion, that tech companies need to take far more responsibility. I don't believe that you can sit there making all that money and not be responsible for the content that is appearing on your platforms. I think we can always jump up and down. There's another thing, the National Child Agency fronted the Mail. He says, you know, children are being abused on a daily basis. Why do large tech companies seem to get away with these atrocities, Ben?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think it's a very finely balanced argument, isn't it? Because those of us who believe in free speech wouldn't want any safety net being put in for children to be used as a weapon against our ability to express ourselves. But I think the other thing that's missed here is this is a symptom of the breakdown in families. It's the ever-creeping nature of the interference of the state in our families and the breaking up of nuclear families in particular, an understanding of you know, what's right and wrong given to us by our parents. That's gone. We seem to be at the behest of education delivered to us by state schools, often with an ideology that is alien to what you would normally be brought up by your families.
It's really interesting, actually. Zarina just sent this, actually, while you're talking, saying tech companies should, yes, be made accountable, but I would go one step further and suggest parental responsibility is at the centre of this.
Parental.
I believe the young people involved may have formed and filmed themselves previously driving recklessly while being pursued by police and posting it online. If the government wants to raise funds, instead of taxing hard-working families, let's fine the parents of badly behaved children in these instances. That's a really interesting point from there.
That's true, but, you know, both parents are working because they can't make ends meet. They put their very young children into the hands of the state. Yeah. They're brought up entirely dependent on how good the teaching is at the school at which they're at. There's no parent at home to give them the daily guidance that they would have traditionally got. And there's got to be more done for families through the tax system, through regulations. Instead of stigmatizing one parent staying at home and saying, you know, that's not a good way to spend your time, you should be out working. Actually, there should be tax breaks to get married. There should be tax breaks to have children. They should remove all the benefits given to people to have children, which just encourages people who can't afford to have children to have them. Absolutely. And then put them into state care. Completely the wrong approach. They should do it through the tax system. So people who are working actually can have children, and then give tax breaks as well to one spouse if the other is staying at home looking after the kids and not therefore putting them into the state system. And you'll have a much better country as a result of it.
Couldn't agree more, mate. You know how much we love having you on. Your red wall is famous, very famous red wall. We appreciate your involvement as ever. Ben Habib, thank you. Chairman of Great British PAC, 7:23, Monday morning, 24th of August. My God, it's been a while since I spoke to me old mucker. They've rolled him out this morning. Top man, Tory MP and former Security Minister, which is quite interesting. Mr Tugendhat, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. How are you, mate? You're looking well.
I'm all right, buddy. You know, it's that Monday feeling of having escaped the children after 48 hours of madness. Security covers so many different issues, and we are going to have to talk about security of Meghan, but let's start with the fact that Andy Burnham in Ukraine today just landed in Kyiv on his first foreign trip. He says, which is good to hear, will stand by Ukraine for as long as it takes, and decides to hand the blueprints on how to form Storm Shadow missiles to Zelensky, saying and doing all the right things. Good to see he's as strong in this as others, I would say. First point.
Yeah, no, it is. And, you know, this has been British policy led by the King all the way down, frankly, hasn't it? The King has been absolutely brilliant with Zelensky. Boris was absolutely fantastic right at the beginning, and every Prime Minister since, including, let's be fair to him, it's the one thing I agree with Starmer on, Starmer and Burnham. You know, so they've all done the right thing, and I'm very glad to see it. I do have a point, though, Jeremy, which is I'm delighted that we're standing with Ukraine. But if you're going to stand with Ukraine, you've got to make sure that you're protected at home. And I don't know if you saw the news the other day, but there was a power station that was knocked out by Iranian cyber attack, or probably by Iranian cyber attack. He needs to be calling ministers round the table right now to make sure that intelligence agencies are prioritising resilience at home. You know, making sure that the National Cybersecurity Centre, which is, after all, the public-facing bit of GCHQ, helps businesses protect themselves, and the NPSA, which is MI5's version of the same thing, are calling up businesses, calling up all those critical industry areas, electricity, water, and so on, and making sure we're protected, because resilience is going to really matter.
I mean, I think Ben Habib just said that when you get to a point when you're paying more interest on debts you've got than you're spending on your security, it's a huge issue. And I think the argument about what we need to do in terms of defence is not going to go away. I believe, I mean, you'd know far more than me, but there surely has to be a priority put to that. There surely have to, unfortunately, be cuts made to other things. But you might not agree, at £15 billion a year in foreign aid, I'd rather get a better army and navy and air force right now. Sorry, I think it's about prioritising Great Britain in many ways.
No, I completely agree on that. I think the idea that has just come out from Miliband and Burnham that they're going to try and get back to 0.7% is absolutely ridiculous. What they should be getting to is getting to the 3.5% that John Healey resigned over, but now says that he's not going to put it in the budget this year, he's going to put it in the spending round next year. Look, all of these things are delays. And let's just be quite clear. Russia isn't delaying, Iran isn't delaying, China isn't delaying, it's us. We are delaying, and we're delaying because Burnham and the Labour Party don't want to take the tough decisions. They don't want to take the tough decisions on welfare. They don't want to take the tough decisions on aid. And so instead, they're making Britain face the tough decision of what happens when our power grid is knocked out by Iran, when our water is attacked by Russia, when our industry is attacked by China.
And I think that there comes a point as well where British people suddenly realise that this has been said for a while, but this is genuine and serious and true, and it's not pie in the sky. Very quickly, without boring you, because it bores me a bit, Harry and Meghan, David Blunkett, former Home Secretary this morning, says that they should get security. As an ex-security minister, I was reading over the weekend, there are so many ex-prime ministers now, about 9 of them. They need round-the-clock attention. If you were the security minister, would you be giving Harry and Meghan security? Tom Tugendhat, or don't you want to answer that?
Well, look, I'll tell you exactly what I would be doing. I'd be leaving it up to RAVEC, which is the organisation that we've set up to do this. They review the security that's needed. I'm sure they'll make an appropriate decision. They're the professionals. And, you know, the big thing we've got to do is make sure we've got more police officers so that we're resourced to provide security to those who need it. And there's a really big problem that we simply do not have enough armed police. I mean, we've got to make sure we've got more police officers. Your comment, I only heard the end of your interview there with Ben, but your final comment on more police, I completely agree. We need to have far more police officers, not just for armed security, but actually just for that local resilience, local reassurance that every community needs.
And yes, reassurance, Tom, but also that's how you get your knowledge, by being on the streets. Exactly. That's how you get the information that you need to nail criminals, isn't it?
Sorry, let me restate why I said the word reassurance. One of the things the military does when you're an infantry unit and you're patrolling is you bring reassurance. And reassurance doesn't just mean you feel better or the local community feels better. It means the local community trusts you, tells you things, and so everybody gets safer. That's what reassurance is. It's not some sort of soft, wet, liberal thing. It's actually about resilience. It's about making sure people are able to trust those who are there to help them. And that's why I want to see more police officers, because having the familiarity with the police is part of the thing that stops people behaving like complete numpties, as those completely violent idiots did on the road that killed 2 police officers. And just one last comment, if I may. TikTok's got a hell of a lot to answer for on this sort of stuff. You know, social media does have responsibility. And let's be absolutely clear. TikTok is a news site edited by the Chinese Communist Party in order to spread division in our country and other countries. It is not about freedom of speech. It's about national defense. We should be very clear. TikTok is not welcome in the UK. It's not welcome in India. It was banned in China, in the United States. And in China itself, it's very heavily limited. So the idea that this is some sort of freedom of speech issue, complete rubbish. It's not.
Mate, it's great to have you on. I know you're in a hurry today. Very, very important. They said you've got to let Mr Tugendhat go at 7:29, but as ever, a drink soon. Yeah, you know, listen, great. A beer soon, my friend. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. Tom Tugendhat, former Security Minister, on the Conservative around 7:30 Monday morning. We're live across the UK. So much to do. Are we going to Anne? Oh, lovely. Oh, hello. She's in Gwynedd. How do you say that, Christian? Oh, Gwynedd. Hello, Anne. How is it? All right?
I'm doing all right, thank you, yes.
That's my Welsh accent. That was crap, wasn't it?
No, I haven't got one, I'm afraid.
Oh, what are you doing in Wales then?
Oh, well, because it's beautiful.
All right, so's London.
Beautiful.
It's not at all, is it, London? Anyway,
Harry
crack
and
on.
Meghan.
Harry and Meghan, oh, God, yes.
I would bet that within a short space of time of moving here, whenever the Prince and Princess of Wales have a function, Harry and Meghan will do something to counteract the attention. Look at the Daily Mail headlines already. And I personally will never, ever forgive them for the heartache and disappointment that the Queen and Prince Philip must have felt at the betrayal of... I can't believe that a grandson would do that to the grandparents.
I completely agree with you, and I'm so delighted we put you on. A lot has been made about, you know, forgive and forget. No. And a lot has been made, oh, William, you know, you need to be the bigger person. He was steeped in the importance of the monarchy by his grandmother, right? It matters to him, and he, I think, will remember totally with pain what those two put the Duke of Edinburgh as he was dying in hospital and the Queen. And I said it earlier as well, love your take on this, he'll never be able to forgive the sources from near them that put out all that terrible stuff about Catherine when nobody knew what was going on and the poor woman was suffering from cancer. I can't... Listen, it annoys some people and they go, oh, you shouldn't keep talking about it, but people are fascinated and angry and whatever. I wouldn't believe a word, sorry, that comes out their mouths. I wouldn't.
Well, she is an actress, so she can put on a good face, but I will never forgive because the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh were a devoted couple, and they were devoted to the monarchy.
I completely agree. Completely agree with you. How's the weather in Gwynedd this morning, is it?
The weather is beautiful,
Is it? What are you up to today, love? Anything exciting?
Well, I've done the washing. I've had 10 cups of tea so I can beat you, and I shall look after my husband.
You haven't asked for a mug?
No, because I hate them.
Brilliant. Fantastic. You don't like mugs, or you just don't want one of my mugs?
No, because people put a mug on the table and not... and it can leave a mark.
She's classy, this one. You've got doilies in your house, haven't you?
I have a cup and saucer, I'm afraid.
Do you have a doily in your house?
No.
A doily is a little circular...
I know it is, I know.
No, but Christian doesn't know. Before placemats, doilies were the posh things. Don't worry, he's not very posh at all. Anne, lovely to have you on. Thank you very much indeed. 0344 499 1000. Malcolm, good morning.
Malcolm calling from the farm at number 7 in the southwest. He hadn't opened his bloody office down here yet, had he? But then again, that's all right. We don't want all these bloody cronies down here with their big Chelsea tractors. Even though down here they'd actually have some use of the bloody four-wheel drive things comes the winter. Anyway, I just thought I'd phone up and say, good morning. Can I be one of the first people in Ermington in Devon to have one of your mugs, Jezzer? I'm always phoning you. Wouldn't do you any harm to give us one, will it? Cheers, bye-bye.
Harry and Meghan had no problem sitting across from Oprah Winfrey and unleashing on this family. When the Queen was in the final days, weeks, and months of her life, guess who was filming their Netflix docuseries where they accused an entire country of racism? Harry and Meghan, unbothered by the Queen's illness, unbothered by the fact that she was an elderly woman who, you know, should have been enjoying her twilight years, but was fearing what was to come from Montecito.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Good morning. 25 to 8. We're live across the UK. This is Talk. On the day that Andy Burnham arrives in Kyiv to reassert our support for Ukraine to Zelensky. That's quite important news on the day that we discover that there's a massive row brewing about whether Harry and Meghan should get security when they come back to Britain, to not be part of something they criticise because they've run out of money, or she wants to appear in a television series. That's causing great consternation. Or this, you know, the Greens, they say we shouldn't have a police force, we shouldn't have prisons, everybody should just run amok, doing whatever they want, and open borders. They're a bunch of idiots. Or the government is spending 500 grand a day moving migrants around the country. Oh, and allowing civil servants to work from home and will pay their heating bills because they might get cold. But all of that pales into insignificance because all you lot want to talk about is a Talk TV mug. Let me explain how this started. I just thought I'd give one away. We've only got 20 apparently, but I'm not having that. They can make some more. I'm giving them away. Why are you looking like that, Christian? These poor people have to listen to this rubbish every single morning. If the least they want is a mug, I think we need to get ourselves together. I'll pay for the mugs to be... I mean, what's a mug? How much is a mug? What's it, £3? What's it? How much is it? We'll get it from China, it'll be 30p. Morning, Adrian.
I worked for a charity once which looked after people, young people, and they were donated a load of mugs by some shop, I think it was, and they had very lovely summery scenes of young people playing on a beach. Only problem is when you put hot drinks in them, all the clothes on the young people disappeared and they were left stark naked. Needless to say, all those mugs had to go in the bin as totally non-age appropriate. Good luck all.
I'm not sure about the age thing, but I do actually remember that. When I was about 20, I had one of them bought for me where the lady in the beach, the clothes came off when the water went in. And do you know, you remember them, Marky, don't you? The rest of you are too young. Yeah, of course you do. In Wales, it's just cheap. 0344 499 1000. Morning, Jez. Prince Harry's a good man. It's that lady he married who's causing all the trouble. She's twisted his mind and he's not thinking straight anymore. No, Graham. Whipped. That's what I think too. Pedro from Malaysia. Jesus Christ. Pedro's in Malaysia. Good morning, Pedro. I honestly think Meghan will one day return to California claiming she hates the weather and can't get on in the UK and it'll be the start of a divorce. I think sooner rather than later. Joanna is in Salisbury. Jez, the crash at the weekend, that terrible story. 3 of the thugs weren't children. 2 were 23 and 1 was 18. I was married with a mortgage and 2 children by the time I was 23. Completely Dan's in Hartlepool. He says, regarding the deaths of those 2 officers in Middlesbrough, Jez, I'm in Hartlepool and have spent plenty of time in the area of where the accident happened. It would be pointless putting more responsibility on the parents, as the parents of local youths here seem to be cut from the same cloth. The apple, you know, doesn't fall far from the tree. I think police need to be tougher and TikTok needs to stop videos of crime. Well, you heard Tom Tugendhat there, former security minister, on the Conservative round this morning saying TikTok needs to be banned. It's financed, he said, massively by China. And it led me, I was just saying earlier, and I'm not, there is no way on God's earth I'm against free speech. But when you consider the huge amount of money that all of these tech companies are making and some of the content, and you think about how other broadcast sectors, television, radio, Ofcom, whatever you want to call it, it is pretty disgusting that this stuff can be got away. And we can say, you know, come on, parents, have more control. Yeah, I agree. but I also think there needs to be some controls over work. Betty says, Betty. What am I calling him? Yeah, sorry, Burnham's gone to Kyiv this morning to hand over some blueprints about weapons to Zelensky. She says, virtue signalling noise. Well, listen again, our Andy's doing the right thing. We were not a rich family, says Christine, but my mum was always at home. We had enough food, she made clothes for us, did without holidays too. Don't know where that's come from. Probably meant for Times Radio. Working from home, the snivel servants. If we have to pay electricity bills, it should be for their office, workspace for 8 hours maximum per day, times the number of days and not the whole house. You're getting pernickety now, Bill. Bill sounds like the... I'm joking, Bill. You know when you go to a restaurant, you go, should we split the bill? No, I think there's 5 of us, only 3 of you, and you didn't have a starter. We didn't have wine, we had a lemonade, and I didn't have a pudding. Oh, just split it, please. I don't think we should pay for them to be at home. Think of the amount of money they save not travelling to work. Use that for your bill. Oh, God. More news. Debbie, recipient of the mug. Here we are. Oh, there she is. Look at happy face of Debbie. There's a sad story behind Debbie's mug, though. Not her face, the mug she's holding. We sent 2, and the postman threw it over the fence and 1 smashed. But there she is. Look at her. With me in the background. Look at that. Smart as carrots. Doesn't look very happy at all. It looks like she's... Look at what's in the mug. I think she's look at her, bless her. 0344 499 1000. The other story that's doing you mind, it's brilliant, this story. Police officers who identify as gender fluid have been issued with both male and female warrant cards in Leicester, Norfolk and Suffolk, allowing them to use a different identifier. All right, son, you're under PC John Smith here. You're under arrest. Half an hour later. OK, son, you're under arrest. PC Marie Smith here. I've changed gender in the last half an hour. Darren says, I would question which person took the oath, because if it was John who became a police officer when I was arrested by Jan because John felt different that day, surely Jan is impersonating John because they have a warrant card for someone who doesn't legally exist. There's your argument. Let's say... The world's gone mad. Let's say a very good morning. One of the few Labourites I like. We love him. Former Labour Special Advisor, Paul Richards. Good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
What's that tie, man? That's a bit bright for the morning. What's going on?
Just for you. I put it on specially. I know you like me. See me sartorially.
You're changing, aren't you? You're getting into the blue shirt now. The old Tory side's coming out in UPR, isn't it? No.
You think people should take their ties off, though? I mean, you've gone tieless there. The tieless Tories did it a few years ago.
Well, I feel how do we get into this? I feel rather constricted with that round my neck, but there we go. Paul, Andy Burnham today in Ukraine, reiterating our support for Ukraine, which is very good to hear. He also is going to hand, apparently, the blueprints on how to build Storm Shadow missiles to Zelensky. I don't mean this badly at all. I mean it well. I've been pleased with the level of straight-out there support that this Labour government has given to Ukraine. Genuinely mean that.
Well, I think today's is his first international trip, and it's very significant, of course, that it is to Ukraine. But more importantly for me is that they're now sharing this technology on long-range missiles, which will allow the Ukrainians to take the fight right into the heart of Russia. I mean, Putin has seemed over the last few years to be impervious to the losses on the battlefield. They've racked up 1 million deaths now, and he can put as many Russians into that meat grinder as he sees fit. But if they start landing Russian, oil refineries, some of the business interests of the oligarchs and all of that with missiles, then I think that will put pressure on Putin far more. So it's quite it is a diplomatic mission today, and there he is doing his diplomacy. But I think behind the scenes, the sharing of this technology is actually quite significant and might well tip the balance in favour of the democracies of the West against the Putin regime.
One of the biggest criticisms of the ex-Prime Minister Keir Starmer is he spent so much time abroad that he didn't concentrate on what's going at home. But I guess it's a difficult thing to balance. I'm going to fire a few quick stories at you today, my friend. I'd love your take. Harry and Meghan, overnight, David Blunkett, the ex-Labour Home Secretary, said that he believes that they should get some form of security. I've had people all morning saying, why are we talking about these 2 grifters? I have a really strong view about this. I think they're out of money. I think they're trying to get their feet under the table before the king passes. I'm just being honest. I'm entitled to my opinion as everybody else is. Why should we be paying out of taxpayers' pocket for a couple of grifters who only make a living out of slagging off the very thing they want nothing to be with except for when it suits them? For want of a better description.
I think it absolutely sticks in the craw. and I'm not passing judgment on their behaviour, which I tend to agree with you has been reprehensible. However, they are public figures linked to the British state and monarchy, and were they to be assassinated and there was no security provided, and whoever the assassins were got through without any kind of barrier to their evil deed at all, there would be an enormous public outcry and an enormous investigation onto what on earth happened. So I think David Blunkett, similarly, as his craw is stuck, but he's saying, well, the practical thing here is to suck it up. Maybe my solution would be half and half, so that the taxpayer pays half, but Harry himself, who is not short of a few bob, let's face it.
Well, apparently he's skint. He's got to pay the Daily Mail £9 million, hasn't he? Associated Newspapers.
There's skint and there's skint, isn't there?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I don't think he's worrying about the gas bill.
No.
So I think he could match it pound for pound and put some of his own money into it as well. But I just think if we left them defenceless, it's just an open invitation to any loon that wants to make a name for themselves.
Probably a very mature response, my friend. Politically, please tell me, like me, you find this appalling. The government is paying out £600,000 a year to civil servants working from home to pay their heating, for Christ's sake. Try explaining that to a hard-working Brit right now.
Well, the best explanation is they've got a very good trade union, and they've negotiated this condition of whereby they can get the expenses from working from home. But I think that belongs to a different age, to be honest, because I think most people are now working from home and they don't expect one room of their house to be paid for by their employer based on the square footage and the proportion of the bills and all this sort of stuff. I just think it's such an outdated idea. We all work everywhere. Work is an activity now, not a place you go to necessarily. Obviously for some people it is a place you have to go to, but if civil servants are going to work from home, and again, I'm not against that. I work from home. I get a lot more done when I'm not standing around having coffee, chatting, going to pointless meetings. And there's lots of pointless meetings in the civil service, but I'm not sure that the heating bill should be part of that package, frankly.
Completely agree. And finally, my friend, I love having you on. Two more things. The Greens, today, Dave and his lot of loonies, they want to lose tasers, lose paper spray, and in fact, finish prisons and finish the police force, open the borders, and everybody can just run amok. They're mad.
I think
mad.
Future generations will say to people, why were they called green? What was the purpose of that? And somebody will say, well, once upon a time they were concerned about the environment and they were a bit like Friends of the Earth, except they're a political party. Now they are the main receptacle of Jew hate in this country. They are the main anti-Semitic party in this country. They are anti-NATO. So they're undermining our essential defences. They want to see drugs legalised and our kids being able to take smack legally. And this latest story about the police just shows you they've got absolutely no clue about how communities live and the need for proper policing on the streets. But, I'm just if you look at their policies, their people they've got elected all over the country, the kind of people winning their internal elections, they are not a Green Party at all now. They are something else completely. And I think the public just needs to just spend a minute putting them under a microscope and just seeing what sorts of people we are talking about and the kind of vile views that they are publicly expressing, and just say, look, these people do not deserve any support in our democracy at all.
Couldn't agree more. Very quickly, Reform UK. We've got Richard Tyson and Tick will say today that Brits under 35, married and ex-veterans will be pushed to the front of the queue for social housing. That is absolutely right. I don't want to get into a huge debate about migrants, but we should get back to a point in this country where we look after the people who work the hardest, stay within the confines of the law, shouldn't we?
Well, we need to build more houses for that to happen. And I don't support the reform policy of evicting hundreds of thousands of people, some of whom may have lived in their homes for 10 years, people who might be single parents, people working in care in the NHS. And under a reform government, which I don't think is going to happen, by the way, but if it did, they'd all be evicted and shoved out onto the street. And I just think that is really un-British to start doing that. So I think the answer is to build more homes so that we release the pressure on the housing market. And yes, veterans and people who've lived here all their lives can have a home near their parents and all of those things.
I think the only issue I'd take with you on that is the phrase un-British, because I think, and I wish I had more time, that one of the big issues now, and when you look at migration and everything, is that people feel that governments are actually un-British, not anti-people, but not really sticking up for the working class men and women. Irrespective of the tie and your political persuasion, love having you on. Thank you so much indeed. The legend is Paul Richards. Kev, good morning.
Breaking news, just been announced by the government. All illegal migrants are entitled to a talk mug upon arrival. Kev the Trucker, have a good day.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. 9 minutes to 8. Let's get to my next guest. So many of you going, why are we talking about Harry and Meghan? Because it's the main news story and because people just want to talk about it. Robert Jobson, author of The Windsor Legacy and a top man. I saw you on a television show. I'm not going to mention where. You were absolute dynamite, Robert. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Jeremy. Very well.
Interesting over the weekend, more developments. Did she get the part in The Gentleman? Was it offered to her for publicity? Has it been removed? How long are they coming back for? Here's one to start with. Julie from Lancashire. Please read this to Robert. Do we really believe that Meghan is coming back at the start of autumn for the next 6 months? It's going to be dark and cold and basically chucking it down 24 hours a day. No more skipping barefoot around the orchard for her, chatting up her chicken. And talking about her kids, they've never experienced a British winter. It's not the nice fluffy snow where they go skiing or just the constant sunshine in California. What a bloody shock it's going to be for the children, Robert.
Well, I think it will be, and they've got the place in Portugal for the many school breaks these private schools tend to have. But look, I think that this is just turning into an absolute ridiculous farce. I mean, the leaking, the counter briefing, you know, they're talking about whether she's in The Gentleman or not. Obviously, people that are on the friendly side or have shown, or they are useful to the Sussex machine, are getting a briefing that it's definitely still on. Tina Brown's saying the hoo-ha about her appearing in the show has caused them to back out. The whole thing has become a complete and utter farce, and that's what we're going to get. If they're here for 6 months, it'll be every single story will be about them. It'll take all the good that the royal family have been doing, including the King and the Queen and the Wells family have been doing a very good job up until now. All of that's going to go away. No one's going to even watch it. It's all going to be about, this is classic Sussex PR. Divide and rule by mixing up the briefings, divide and rule, and then basically putting these stories out so it looks like she's a victim of a backlash. She's never got the part anyway, and the whole story then disappears. But the gentlemen get publicity, and then she gets publicity, and it's me, the victim, again. And I dare say that's going to be the route it takes.
I couldn't agree more. And when I saw you in this TV show, and I won't mention where, what you were saying, which I think I was probably surprised at, and you made reference to this on Friday on my show, the King really needs, ill or not, to show some backbone here. I understand he's a father. I understand he hasn't seen his kids. I understand he wants to see his grandchildren.
Yeah.
But there's a major part that concerns me, that A, he's being played, but more than that, he's got himself into a position where he's going to be accused by all things from all sides. And I don't know whether he's just not that sort of guy, but it's going to come raining down on his head. I can see it a mile off.
Yeah, the reaction you can see from my Substack and things like that, or people you talk to as well, is that they feel that the King's behaved very weakly here. But I see the establishment just cranking into gear here, you know, with Blunkett's comments and Dame Emily Thornberry, all these both Privy Councillors. I have no doubt that the King was fully aware of what was going on. I can't believe that just can't believe that the first he knew about it was on Sunday. If it was, that's seriously rude, serious blindsiding. There is, I mean, but now they're talking about security, aren't they? With that's coming out from Blunkett, a Privy Councillor, a former Home Secretary, trying to do the say, oh no, you've got to look after them, you've got to have some sort of security. This still the way the establishment works.
Why would the establishment want them back? Because the establishment ultimately doesn't want a royal family? Because all I ever see is two people trying to destroy the very thing I believe in.
No, I don't think. I think the establishment. I mean, the people, the politicians, that Privy Councillors that answer to the King and are loyal to sworn an oath to the King. I think that behind all this, the King has basically said that they want them back. I think that, you know, they're coming back, and so there needs to be protection. And you watch the way that the whole mechanism, the whole thing starts to crank into gear, and there'll be more and more politicians saying, "Oh, look, you know, we need to give them this." You've got to remember what your previous guest said was a very eloquent guy, but you can't have what he said, that Harry pays half and all that. The Scotland Yard are very clear about that. You can't the private people cannot just come in and hire or pay percentages of their elite squad of protection officers. That's a non-starter. Doesn't work.
Do you think they'll get security that they're after?
Yes, absolutely.
What do you think of what Poppy Coburn said earlier, that she thinks the whole thing will fall apart? She thinks that he thought he was going to win his case against Associated Newspapers, could flit into the United Kingdom and everything would be God. The fact of the matter is he hasn't, he's missing money and he's actually in a tight corner. I don't know what to believe, mate, and in a way I'm fed up talking about it, but it won't go away.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be a lot more, it could well be a lot more than the money that they've initially had to pay. But money, I don't think, for Harry is the major issue. His father's one of the richest men around. I mean, I'm sure if he stepped in and helped Andrew out, he'll step in and help his son out. Blood is thicker than water. I've no doubt about that, actually. But we won't know anything about it, and it'll be private money as such. But ultimately, it just seems to me that if Harry shouts loudest, he gets what he wants.
What about, just to finish, I'd love to have more time, William and Kate, pictured leaving church yesterday, solid, carrying on. I feel sorry for them, don't you?
I do, but I think they're pretty solid people and they'll be pretty pragmatic about the whole issue. No, they'll never be bosom buddies with Harry and Meghan, and the trust issue is going to be one that I'm sure William has raised with his father. But ultimately, you know, he will want what's best for the monarchy, and if that is best to have Harry on the inside and under some form of control, then I'm sure he'll be quite pragmatic about it.
Just to finish, you said on Friday, and I know you repeated, that for any of this to work, you believe there should be contrition and they should start by saying sorry, Harry and Meghan.
Oh, without a doubt. I think there's apologies owed both to the King, to the Wales family, William in particular, and Catherine, and also to the nation for some of the things that have been said about our country. I think are simply despicable. It's too dangerous to bring his wife and kids here. Well, they're here now. Well, practically here now.
This man is a legend, ladies and gentlemen. Buy the book, author of The Windsor Legacy, Robert Jobson. Thank you very much indeed. Almost 8 o'clock. This is Talk Breakfast. Back with Richard Tice after the news.
You doom-mongers, you're just killjoys, aren't you?
That's just silly, isn't it? I'm not a doom-monger. I'm a fact-monger.
Yeah? Well, why can't people just enjoy the summer?
And 1,000 people are dead. And 20 people have lost their homes.
No, well, that's bad.
And
I agree with that.
the army has stretched beyond breaking point.
But your facts, you can't say 1,000 people have died because of climate change. That's right. Well, you laugh in a condescending way. You're making yourself look ridiculous. Don't blame me.
This is not a discussion. This is just a rant.
Secretary has brought forward a very rigorous plan in relation to this, and let's remember, of course, the numbers can fluctuate, but overall boat crossings are down quite significantly year on year, so that does suggest that the plan is working.
We've just witnessed drone footage of the French authorities handing out life jackets to illegal immigrants and then waving them goodbye as they head on their way towards the UK. So the French are actively helping and facilitating illegal immigration. In addition to that, the French forces did nothing to stop that huge migrant dinghy. In fact, the dinghy came out, then it went back to the beach to pick up even more illegal immigrants and then departed for a second time. During all of that, the French did nothing, and they even handed out life jackets and waved goodbye as these illegal immigrants head towards the UK. I think that's terrible. I mean that anyone who did cross the channel and arrive in Dover could be immediately deported within around about a week.
Give that a second, he's just dragging a line by the look of it.
Is that a warning shot towards us? I don't know.
Well, I was trying to work it.
Okay. The French officers could clearly see we were conducting an interview on the back of the fishing boat. They sailed extremely close to us and started firing gunshots, 11 live rounds. We could see the bullets hitting the water behind our boat. They weren't firing before their approach. They weren't firing afterwards. There was no notification of any kind of training exercise. So it did seem to me to be an effort to intimidate us.
The thing that I find, and I should say alarm clock Brits find so frustrating, Chris, and this is why I wanted you on this morning. Yesterday, finally, the unelected Messiah of Manchester stood up and said, to consummate fury from most of us, that Labour's plan to stop dinghy migrants is working. This, Chris, despite the fact that 1,000 illegal migrants have still come into this country in the last 9 days since he became Prime Minister.
Je suis un député dans le Parlement du Royaume-Uni. Why have you allowed the migrants into the water? Why haven't you stopped them?
Our order is to let them go like that.
Your order is to let them go?
We just have to say to them, don't do that, it's dangerous.
So your orders are not to intervene?
We have to protect them.
Well, there's also protecting the border as well.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back and welcome along. Just gone 8 o'clock. It is Monday, the 24th of August. You would talk, of course, the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock Britain. I've got to be quick because the Deputy Chairman of Reform UK is gracing us with his presence, and apparently he's got to be gone by 15:15. Who's in charge here? Morning, Phil.
Good morning, Jeremy. I just hear this morning on the state media that Blakey Burnham is going to Ukraine to show his support and his solidarity, and he's going to up the amount of money that I believe he's going to give them. Well, no, it's foreign aid, isn't it? He's up in the foreign aid budget, that's it. Well, why can't he be that concerned about foreign invaders on our borders? Oh, it's a great life on the buses.
8:05. Let's say a very good morning. We haven't got in for long, apparently. Oh, my God. Richard Tice, Deputy Leader of Reform. Good morning, sir. Oh, God, what are you doing?
Good morning, Mr. Carl. How are you?
I'm used to you seeing seemingly large. You're a very little small man behind a big microphone. Are you all right?
I'm fine, thank you very much. I'm just in a studio in a different media organisation. There are some of those things, you know.
Oh, OK. So you've got to be on time. Richard, on a serious note, so much to talk to you about very quickly. Your announcement today: Brits under 35 will go to the front of the queue for social housing under Reform UK government. A lot to be said for that in terms of married families and veterans. We had a Labour supporter on earlier, Paul Richards, who said, what about the families who have lived in those houses for years and years, who have come to this country and paid tax and worked hard? How do you answer that, my friend?
Very simply. We were told people were going to come to the country to work, not to have a right or an entitlement to a British taxpayer-funded home. It is only right and fair that young British workers, young British families and veterans should be given priority and preference. That is the decent, fair thing to do. Housing should be allocated based on suitability. Currently, it's based on need, and you've got situations where people are coming from overseas with large families and jumping to the front of the queue, and those who've done the right thing British workers are still living with their parents into their 30s, seeing no way to get onto the housing ladder. So we're proposing to change the system and to make it what actually Nye Bevan, that sort of hero of the Labour Party post-war, that was the original intention, and it was a privilege to be on the social housing list, to have access to a council home. That's the right thing to do. But in addition to that, Jeremy, we're also announcing today how we will pay for an additional 50,000 new affordable social homes built every single year over the next decade. I've got a background in building. We know how to get it done. At our press conference at 11 o'clock, we will announce how we're going to fund that. And again, it is the right and fair thing to do. Put Brits first, and then if there's some spare after that, fine, that can be allocated. But
so let me just get this straight, because people will ask me. I'm massively behind this. The forces, veterans, I will bang the drum for these people. I think it is utterly disgusting how this country treats our veterans. I think they should be absolutely in front of the queue. I'm with you, married couples that are working, living within the confines of the law, doing everything to do right by their kids, get absolutely sod all from this government. All we seem to do is wipe the backsides of people who don't deserve it. But just want to check, and there's a reason for doing it. So if a family or a man or a woman or whatever who have been here for 10, 15 years and they were migrants, but they've come over, they've paid tax, they've got a British dual passport, whatever, would there be a difference in that at all? How do you... That's
yeah,
what
they've got... Yes, there would be, because actually, again, it's not an entitlement that you go to someone else's country and then expect the taxpayers of that country just to give you a nice taxpayer-funded home. No, the expectation is that actually you work, you contribute, and you pay your own way. It's very simple. It's basic common sense, and it's about time this country had politicians with the courage to tell it as it is, because British people are sick and tired of all of this mamby-pamby. Oh, we've got to be nice to people from overseas. We've got to ignore our own people. No, we're going to look after our own people, British veterans, as you just said. They're going to the front of the queue. Yes, let's build some more affordable social homes. Of course, that we will do, and we'll do it very well and cost effectively. But we have to have the courage to tell it as it is.
It's interesting. I heard this from Poppy Coburn. I don't know any details, but apparently the Burnham bouncers already over, and Reform in the latest opinion poll yesterday is back in the lead. Does that surprise you? No, he says.
Well, obviously, we always want to be in the lead. We have to recognise there's competition out there in a variety of forms, and that's why we're coming forward with great policies. Last week, we said that it was fair that you've got to make welfare work. People have got to be encouraged and motivated back into work. It's fair that those in work doing the right thing are first in the queue for affordable social housing, so they can get on the housing ladder. It's just about fairness. It's about motivating people into work.
It's about priorities, isn't it? It's about
priorities, but also contributing to your own community. That's the appropriate thing to do.
Do you? I mean, just very quickly. I mean, I know this, but I'd love you to tell. when you approach something like we've got to look after the indigenous population, which is what I say every single day, I cannot believe I still live in a country where we're giving £15 billion in foreign aid and we've got so much wrong. No, not enough prison space, not enough policemen and women on the streets, absolutely sod all Army, Navy and Air Force. It's all about priorities, and you're right, it's all about fairness. But you know as well as I do that when you stand and you say these things, some of the stuff you get thrown at you, some of the opposition is extraordinary. Does that make you even more resolved? It does me. I'm just interested.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, nobody's always going to agree with everything we put forward. That's the nature of democracy. That's fine. We're big enough. We're tough enough. But we just have a strong, passionate conviction that it's right to look after our own people first in all the policies that we put forward. And here's just an extraordinary statistic. Last year, on social housing, only 36% of people given new lettings last year, only 36% were in work. Think about how many young British workers are still having to live with mum and dad at home because they don't get preference on the queue. That's just not fair.
No.
And then, likewise, in London, almost 50% of social housing is occupied by people from overseas. And again, that's just not fair, particularly when such a large percentage are not in work, very often have no obligation to seek work, and it's just not the British way. A core British value is one of fairness, Jeremy, as you well know.
Completely agree. I want to throw a couple of quick things at you, because apparently you've got to go at 8:15, is that right?
What have you got for me, Jeremy?
£500,000 a day, the Sun reports, is being spent on detaining illegal migrants. Well, I don't know how much is on detaining, because we don't seem to detain any, and moving them around the country, Richard Tice. 500 grand a day, £185 million a year.
Well, the right thing to do, actually, is to detain and deport those who've come here illegally. That's the reform policy. And I think people can see that with our can-do business-like approach, we're going to get stuff done. And the British people want this sorted. They're absolutely furious that hundreds, sometimes thousands of people who've come here illegally are being dumped in relatively small British communities, dumped in HMOs, changing the nature of villages and market towns. It's outrageous, and it is simply unfair, and it's got to stop.
What do you say to this as well? The government have announced this morning, or rather we found out, £600,000 a year, allowing those horrible... Sorry, £600,000... I've got to be very balanced. £600,000 a year for those hard-working civil servants for their heating bills to be paid when they're working from home, Richard, because it gets cold.
Maybe put on an extra jumper.
Brilliant. And the Greens have today... Brilliant, Richard Tice. Calm as ever. The Greens today have called police should lose tasers and pepper spray. In fact, they'd like to go a step further than Mad Greens and ban the police, open all prisons, open the borders. We'll just all run amok. And not a mention of a tree, Richard Tice. Not a mention of a tree in there at all.
Well, maybe that's why the Green vote share in polling is disappearing down a plug hole. I mean, they're just utterly clueless, and they don't focus on what we're focused on, which is those who actually contribute, those who get stuck in, roll the sleeves up, get out of bed at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and go to work. And those are the people that reform policies are totally focused on. And guess what? That's why we're leading in the polls, Jeremy.
Kemi Badenoch said last night she wants a Tory victory, not a monstrous coalition with reform. She described the people that defected as some of the worst politicians she's ever met.
Look, I think she's just jealous of how well we're doing. We're leading in the polls. And let's just remember that since she became leader of the Conservative Party, her poll rating, her vote share and her number of MPs has fallen quite considerably. So it doesn't seem to us that people will forgive the Conservative Party and they won't forget the damage they did to our economy and our way of life.
Rich, I think it's so true. I think she is cutting through on a personal level, but I don't think the Tories will be forgiven for years for what they did over 14. Final one, you won't know this story, but it's brilliant, and your reaction just facially will be worth it. Police officers in Leicester, Norfolk and Suffolk who identify as gender fluid are being given both male and female warrant cards, allowing them to use a different identification vacation or whatever day of the week. So you could be arrested by John on a Monday, Richard, and you can shake it. He said his head's on the floor. And by Tuesday, it could be Sarah. And
or it could be Jane, or it could be Jimmy. Honestly,
that's the truth. That is what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with.
We haven't got time for this nonsense. For heaven's sake, show a bit of common sense. You're either John or you're Jane, based on how you were named when you were born, as a man or a woman. It's as simple as that. All of this stuff is absurd.
There's so much going on that's serious, and we seem to be wasting our time on this. Now, today, big announcement, 11 o'clock, you're doing a press conference where you will talk about this Brits under 35 we pushed to the front of the queue. And I know you've got a press conference because you've got a different tie and you're looking quite smart, aren't you? Are you nervous?
I'm always trying to look smart, Jeremy, for you and for your colleagues in the media industry and everybody. But look, it's a really important announcement, and there is something special in the way that we're going to fund this that I think will also
well, I was going to say, a couple of people yesterday saying they haven't heard how you're going to fund it, but you're going to announce that at 11 o'clock.
You see, patience is a virtue. Listen in, watch in at 11 o'clock. I know you'll have nothing else to do after you've finished your show, so crack on.
Shall I tell you what I'm doing? I'm in a meeting, actually, talking about hosting your party conference in 2 weeks. So they are, some of us work all the time, Tice man, all right?
I know, 24/7, Carl. We know.
Good man, like the tie. Good luck at 11 o'clock. Richard Tice, Deputy Leader of Reform, talking about... really interesting. He says that working Brits under 35 will be pushed to the front of the queue for social housing. It's no longer acceptable that people that come to this country and do not contribute are at the front of the queue. Let's go to Norwich. Barry, good morning. You're on Talk Breakfast.
Hallelujah to that. Yeah, good morning. I just want to make a comment on the gruesome twosome.
Oh, Harry and Meghan, yes.
Yes. Right, I personally think, don't call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think that he is on the verge of being deported from America because of his visa and his book Spare, where he admitted to taking drugs. Yeah, and I think Trump is on the verge of deporting him, and I think they have got out before they're slung out.
Well, maybe we could deport them as... Oh, no, we're not very good at that. We'll just detain them.
Deport Harry, because he's a British citizen, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Can we not detain him? Barry, how's Norwich this fair? And are you a Norwich City fan?
I am, yes, for my sins.
Yeah, it's as bad as us. Lovely to have you on, my friend. Barry in Norwich, thank you very much indeed. 16 minutes past 8. Jay, good morning.
Morning, Jez. A great show as always. And I just want to point out this Norfolk Police and the other police forces that have issued more than one warrant card, so depending on the day you can be male or female, the officer. Does that mean then, if I commit a crime and they get me in court and say, we've seen you with my name, who I am, a male, etc., I can say, that ain't my name, I was this person on that day and I'm female. You now have the wrong person. Because if they're admitting they can switch their officers around, surely a criminal can switch around and be someone completely different. So I'd be careful on that one. That's going to open a can of worms, massive can of worms.
I think that is an absolutely brilliant thing to say. I mean, I'd got past the water ban, the hosepipe ban, by allowing my hosepipe to re-identify as a watering can, but maybe... I mean, we're not condoning that at all, but the police have got mad. Morning, Jez. How good is it that Andy from Manchester is in Kiev? I'm glad he's helping the invasion of another country. It really instills hope and pride. Imagine if our country was being invaded by people that we didn't want here and we had a Prime Minister who was doing something about it. Yeah, good. Paul Richards says Clayton in Dartford. So a former special advisor for one of only two parties that have been investigated for anti-Semitism states the Greens are anti-Semitic. Well, Mr Kettle, how black are you feeling today, asked Mr Pott. Unbelievable. Sorry, I was slightly worried about that as I was reading that. Oh, God, Dan in Ken. Morning. Lots of discussion on mugs this morning. Well, I see where my hard-earned taxes are being spent. I'm beginning to think alarm clock Brits are the mugs of all mugs. Morning to Brian. Why did I do that? He's in Dorset. What's wrong with that? Morning, Bri. Apparently it is OK to turf out British people from their homes to create illegal migrant HMOs, but un-British to do the opposite, to give British taxpayers a home. How utterly shocking. Stacey is in the West Midlands. I'm a former teacher left due to illness in secondary pupil referral units. We need more police and more teachers. We need police officers who are known in schools to the kids. Unfortunately, teachers become parents to the kids in their class. Love kids go to school to learn, unloved kids go to be loved. Stacey in the West Midlands. Thank you, my darling. Dave's in East Yorkshire. Morning, Jez. If you want some cheap mugs, there's plenty on the Labour front bench that will soon become available to give away. Jez, I mean, this is getting embarrassing now. Mark's just going, Jez, where's my mug? on the end of your face, mate. Morning to Tim in Winchester, Joe. I need a mug urgently. This, you see, look at this. This is emotional blackmail. Have you read this? Isn't this? I need a mug urgently. I work in the NHS and one of my colleagues keeps showing off my GB News mug. I trust you will consider my request. I think we have to put Tim in Winchester. Stop looking pained. Out. Get me a price for... I've given 3 away, so I've only got 4 left. What am I going to drink my tea out of? Christian, go and find out how much it is to make 100 mugs. I'll do it. Honestly, I think we'll do that.
And where's me mug?
Shut up. Neil in Stoke. Morning, Jez. I'm wondering if the mayor of the UK has gone to Kiev to promise free bus travel to get the Ukrainian troops to the front line. That's terrible. Morning, Betty. Ooh. Jez, how many of those civil servants are getting London allowance and rates whilst living in the countryside? Would love a mug. Do an online booking. People will pay for the postage. Don't start. Oh, what? Oh, my God, this woman's so angry. It's not a woman, it's Steve. I've just seen footage of Burnham on his first official visit abroad in a goddamn zip-up T-shirt. Seriously, what he wears at home doesn't interest me, but when he's abroad, he represents the US. Oh, us. And how dare he turn up dressed like he's off to the pub? Even May Zelensky looked well-dressed. Absolutely. Primark Prime Minister. Why are we... Oh, look at Ty, suddenly on Sky, looking... Oh, Burnham's arrived. Look, he's got a zip-up T-shirt. Is that from Sandbanks? They're all at it. I don't know what's going on. Zip-up T-shirt. By selling their houses, says Pete, Harry and Meghan can afford their own frigging security. Interesting. Eileen. What are we going to say to Eileen? Come on, Eileen. It's just so bad. I think Harry and Meghan are coming back to insure and collect their inheritance. If they're running out of money, and I'm guessing our kin is losing his battle with cancer, they're positioning themselves to be back in the limelight. Brian Goodwin. Morning, Jez. Someone of your mugs to Downing Street. A mug for a mug, you might say. Morning, Jez. I think Harry and Meghan... This is my favourite of the morning. And then we're going to go to Ian after this voice note, OK? Morning, Jez. I think Harry and Meghan's security should be handled by Trotters Independent Total Security, known locally as TITSs. What, don't say tits? Oh, God, I have done. Brian in Worthing, never mind. Morning, Ian.
Hi, Jeremy. Ian here in York. I got a taxi the other day and the driver was telling me he'd taken an immigrant from York all the way to Glasgow to be rehomed, and it was £500 the fare. It's amazing how they can come across 7 countries and cross the busiest channel in the world, but they can't get a train to Glasgow.
we have to stand up to the French. We have to be much tougher. We have to stop. I mean, it is the pull factor is huge, but even without the pull factor, there are going to be people who, you know, want to come across that bit of ocean and come to us. And I just think, once again, you know, we do a lot of talking about it, and Andy Burnham, every time he's interviewed, says, oh, yes, but there's fewer boats coming. There may be fewer boats coming, but they're actually bigger boats and they're holding just as many people. I think the money we're giving to France is unbelievably big for what they're doing for us.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 8:25. Sorry, Christian's just made me laugh by looking at me. So in a world where Andy Burnham is already in Kyiv promising to support Zelensky forevermore, I'm being called a warmonger. Hope you're going to the front line, Jez, because you're so happy with Burnham helping Ukraine with missiles. Russia, hope you've got your bunker ready. Listen, Richard, I agree to disagree with everybody. That's the whole beauty of the show. Ukraine's war is our war. I don't care what anybody says. I absolutely, and the reason I said I thought that Starmer and Burnham, the only good thing they've done is show that support. I think it's absolutely essential. But whilst that's going on, whilst we've got the highest taxation in the history of the world, while we're having a country being flooded by illegal immigrants, whilst most of our public services are on their arse, don't worry, my friends, because Leicester, Norfolk and Suffolk police have decided to do the right thing and hand out to police officers who are gender fluid. I don't even know what does gender fluid mean? What does that mean, Christian? Help me out. No, you can't say that, you see. Now, if I said that on air, you see, and you're the executive producer, we would be off air. Those who do identify as gender fluid have been issued with both male and female warrant cards. So one day you could be arrested by John. John's having a bad day. It's by Jane. Leicester, Norfolk and Suffolk police confirmed they'd issued more than one. They've done that. OK, so, I mean, it's extraordinary. Morning, Sean.
Morning, Jeremy. Sean from Grimsby here. Just got in my wagon to set off for the day, and the first thing I hear when I put on the radio is that the police are issuing 2 identity cards for people so they can decide if they're a boy or a girl on a daily basis. I mean, this is absolute madness, Jeremy. This is why no one respects the police anymore. No one likes the police anymore. No one fears the police anymore. Never mind sorting out crime or rapes or murders. Just as long as the coppers have a couple of identity cards so they know what they are in the morning when they get up. You know, it's absolutely pathetic. It really is, Jeremy. We are an absolute laughing stock in this country. What has happened to us? Good God. Great show, mate.
And the thing as well about that, which Christian's dead right about, is you'll have all heard that horrendous story over the weekend of those TikTok kids. Well, they're not kids. They're 18, 19, 23, 2 of them, who caused the deaths of 2 policemen and their own lives, 7 people dying, driving the wrong way. They posted on TikTok videos about how fast they go. The police at the top, right, the very, very top, who spend their entire lives wasting time doing this about, you know, identity cards for gender-fluid officers and the Macarena. Let's talk about the hero PCs, men and women who die. Why aren't the senior officers doing more, for example, to badger the Prime Minister to not let PC Andrew Harper's killers out? That's what they should be doing, supporting the men and women on the front line. 0344 499 1000. I've got to read some of these. There's so much here. Bill, police holding male and female warrant cards if they don't know which way to turn. This country is getting like a sketch from Monty Python. Nobody's laughing. This country is a flipping joke. Jeremy, why should Burnham be able or allowed to give away state secret. Storm Shadow is top-of-the-range kit, so now we, the UK, are allowing Zelensky to fire at the heart of Russia, who already peed off with us. Is Burnham deliberately trying to ramp it all up? Interesting analogy the government should give, says Mick in Wallington. Harry and Meghan the same security they give to women and girls. Absolutely bugger all, says Mick in Wallington. Morning, Jez. If we're already paying £500,000 moving migrants around my country, we could place the two grifters on the same programme, saving the taxpayer £5 million. Good. Rich, JK, parents. The same incident happened in Ireland. 5 kids dies. Turns out driver has lists of convictions. The other kids were in care or criminal system. And, of course, it's the internet's fault. I'm not saying it's not all the internet, but I do think high-tech companies need to take a partial responsibility. Parents as well, I said it earlier. Jez, in order to make their position clear, the King has to take the entire Sussex family's titles away. The King did it to Andrew. He needs to do it for them. Then there will be no ambiguity, and the Sussexes would know exactly where they stood, and they'd have nothing left to sell. Marie is in Maidstone. Morning, Jez. Why are you giving them so much airtime? You are creating this, not you alone, but the media. Get back to some news. Sorry, I'm a bit grouchy. My 90-year-old father with dementia is currently laying on his bedroom floor waiting 2 hours for an ambulance. Jesus Christ. My 83-year-old mum has been told it could be over 2 more hours. Let's talk about something really important, not what Harry and his vile wife are doing. I really don't care right now. Have a good week, Jezza. And Marie in Maidstone's absolutely right. I completely take my hat off to her. A 90-year-old father who's probably worked his entire life is lying on the floor waiting for a damn ambulance. There aren't enough ambulances or paramedics or anything because we are, what, badly funded, no, badly managed, spending it on things that we shouldn't. Hope you get that sorted, sweetheart. Thank you so much. And you're right. I completely get it. It's even frustrating to have to sometimes do it, but you have to go with what is out there. 0344 499 1000 830. Benedict Spence, if you're listening, get your head onto the telephone for goodness sake. Tom Scotstoun is the, I'm not going to say new now because he's been there at least 6 weeks, so he's probably staying. Political correspondent of The Sun. Morning, Tom.
Morning, Jeremy. Thank you for having me on.
So your boss is probably somewhere in the Caribbean enjoying himself and you get dragged out of bed at early hours.
I know, it's appalling, isn't it? It's appalling, working most of summer, only with a small trip to Ireland in between, so...
Let me ask you this. Lots of people this morning, and I get it, you'll have heard that last message from the woman whose 90-year-old dad who's had a stroke and has got dementia is lying on the bedroom floor waiting for an ambulance. It's on the front page again of The Sun about Harry and Meghan. Explain from a journalistic point of view why we all keep talking about these two grifters, and do you understand how for a lot of people it's just boring?
No, I mean, I completely get it, because I guess there's different tastes as well, but I think especially for a lot of the press, and this isn't just The Sun, but also papers like the Mail, when the story broke, there is such a demand for royal stories, but I think, obviously, as you say, there's clearly quite a divide, because the people who don't like it really switch off, but the people who are really interested absolutely love it and are obsessed with every minutiae and little detail.
It's a really interesting story, and we'll have to keep. I mean, security-wise, I can ask you your opinion. Do you think we should be paying for their security? Listen to this. I mean, this sums up my viewers and listeners. From Ross, I couldn't care less where the grifters and their kids live. I do, though, care that we might be expected to fund their security. How much money can be taken from us by idiots? I'm past it. It's doing my head in. And I understand that. Hard-working alarm clock Brits, mate, are feeling right up against it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that they moved away from Britain, didn't they? Of course, that was their own decision. And I think the majority of the population wished them the best of luck. Yeah. But I guess if they're coming back, and again, this is for, entirely if Meghan's got a new deal with acting or it's new schools, then I guess that, like most people and private citizens now that they want to be, will have to pay for their own security. So I guess, people aren't as interested in them now that they haven't got their official titles. But if they want to come here on their own backs, then I guess they've got to stump up that security fee.
I think we're at a really interesting point in our history, actually, the British way of life, British people. I mean, your newspaper, The Sun, and this station talk about it all the time. We talk about the silent majority. We talk about the just about managings. We talk about real working people, and that's why we talk about common sense. I think both of us do that a lot. I don't understand why politicians and police chiefs and all these people don't really understand the depth of anger and frustration there is. A couple of examples. Great story in your paper on 17 today. £500,000 a day spent detaining illegal migrants. I doubt we don't detain any, do we? And moving them around the country. £185 million last year. Where does that leave people who are really struggling, mate? It just drives them mad.
No, completely. And I guess that this feeds into the anger and a lot of suspicion from most people, because especially with these hotels that are closing down, I think there was one in Blackpool the other week, there was another couple in Cheshire. People are really frustrated because they know that these migrants aren't being deported, or they aren't being processed at the very least. What they're doing is being moved around to different bases across the country. So it's costing even more money for a good PR game from the government. And I don't think normal punters are buying it. I don't know about you, Jeremy.
No, I'm not buying it. I mean, I got into a bit, and I can get into trouble. I had Harry Redknapp on. I don't know if you know about this. About 10 days ago, and it went viral. I popped into Bournemouth again yesterday on the way back from the seaside to pick up a suit. I don't care what anybody tells me. Bournemouth used to be... Was it a little bit affluent? I don't know, but it was a good old British seaside town. I defy anybody to go to Bournemouth and walk up and down the main street. There are migrant men by the dozen hanging around, leering, walking, smoking and drinking. Patently migrants. I don't understand any political party that thinks that that brings value to a town like Bournemouth or a country like the United Kingdom. And I genuinely believe this. And a lot of people say, oh, you're terrible. I'm not far right at all. There's nothing far right about me. But I do not understand how successive governments have said, whilst we want to look really, really good, we're going to screw our own people at the same time. Because, Tom, that's where we're at, mate, because we are at a point where we can't afford to give our own people what they need, but we're still shelling out for others to try and look good. But the truth is, we don't look good to the world. We look idiotic. To migrants and people who want to come here and take advantage, yeah, we're as soft as anything and the best place in the world. But what about, you know, I repeat, the hard-working Brits? When do we give anything back to them? Nothing.
Yeah, and you look at, we were just talking about small boats then, again, you know, a small fraction of the people that we actually stop, or the French police stop, at the border. You've got different gangs, of course, that are ganging up on French police that are trying to stop them, which obviously who are trying to prevent the migrants from crossing the channel. So you have that. Obviously, then you have so many undocumented men, but it's disproportionately men that make it to Dover and then, of course, disperse across the country. And I think it's a huge security problem for the country as well. But also, as you say, it's a lesson of fairness that you see this is happening. You see that we're about to spend, is it around £500 billion, or around about there, is more or less £400 billion a year on welfare by the end of the decade. I mean, it's just not sustainable, and I think it's this really growing frustration, and it feels like we're reaching boiling point in a lot of these sort of tensions.
I mean, there's a really interesting point, because when we talk about it and when you guys write about it, people will say, well, what are you condoning? I'm not condoning anything. I'm trying to say to politicians, you need to understand, whilst you're virtue signalling and gaslighting so many of us, that there is a depth of feeling amongst the silent majority. I used to, hand on heart, still to a degree, but people would come up to me all the time and talk about the Jeremy Kyle show, 15 years bound to. I would say 40% of those people now come up and say, Jez, you've got to keep the fight going. This is utterly ridiculous. This is talking about the things that we want to talk about. You know, how does this happen? How are we at this with the police? How are we that with our justice system? How are we that with our NHS or our military or our taxation system or illegal migration? I do think there's an awareness, and I don't understand how politicians just carry on as if it'll all be OK. It won't be. And unless we get somebody, Tom, with the conviction of a Thatcher, a Blair even at the beginning, who says, I don't give a damn how many of you are angry. This is what we're going to do. I just see us lurching and lurching and lurching. And you know, I've never felt like that, but I do feel like that. I think it's really a concerning moment. And so many people will bury their heads in the sand and say, it'll be all right. Go to Bournemouth, any of you. Walk up and down the high street and tell me that this country hasn't changed. That's just a fact.
As you say, yeah, we need someone at the top, and I think this is what it's been kind of crying out for a real change of direction, because it seems to have been this kind of malaise for at least 10 to 15 years where, you know, we don't really know, whoever's leading the country, kind of what direction they want to bring it on.
I feel like they're scared to do what they need to do. I mean, I bang on about her, I'm an old man, right? Thatcher, I haven't said this to you, but Thatcher had 400 MPs. And she picked a cabinet, and if you disagree with her, she sacked you. And at the end of 11 years, she was in a room with 400 MPs, and she sacked them all, and they went goodbye. But what she did for those 11 years, whether you liked her or loathed her, and plenty loathed her and plenty loved her, She said, there's my plan, and I do not give a damn. That is what we're going to do. I don't care if I disagree with the government's plan, but I'd love a bloody government to actually do what it says it's going to do without sitting down, Tom, and only moving if a focus group says that's the right thing to do, or only speaking if somebody says that might garner a few reactions online. I just want conviction, mate, and I don't see it. I don't see it.
And yeah, as you say, we've got government by focus group. And the problem, what we've found there, and I think, again, it's the last 10 years, is you end up not having a coherent policy. You have something maybe on beer duty, we've had recently, then something on buses, then something on welfare, and it doesn't paint a coherent picture. And I think that's, again, a big reason why we can't bring the debt bill down. So it's going to be really difficult, but maybe it's going to have to come to a point, like you said in 1979, where things are so bad that someone comes to the forefront and leads from the front.
Completely agree. I'd love your take, actually. It wasn't in the Sun, but I know you guys will have such an opinion. Government waste. Civil servants who work from home will be part of a £600,000 giveaway so that we pay for their heating because they might get cold. Government servants working for civil servants working from home. Barking.
Yes, I mean, we're kind of obviously very at the forefront of people getting into the office and working from there, because obviously it's such a massive part for the economy. And as you said, yeah, this is going to be another thing that will cheese off taxpayers. They do not like seeing this, where it's already public sector workers that are getting another subsidy.
I understand for some people, but I've always thought coming to work is about having some social interaction with other people, but your family, but also that's how you buzz. But honestly, some of it is just utterly frightening. But let's finish with the best story of all, Tom Scotston, because I know that you, bless you, will love it. Police officers in Leicester, Norfolk and Suffolk, who identify as gender fluid, have been issued with both male and female warrant cards, allowing them to be able to use different identifications on different days depending on how they feel, which is interesting. Tony's just said, Jez, can you make your listeners and viewers' day by coming into work tomorrow as Jemima? Absolutely not. Or, in fact, Bill in Wiltshire. Do smile, Tom. If a PC wakes up in the morning, looks down and sees he has a truncheon and still can't work out whether he's a bloke or not, I think he should be sacked.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that this is sort of past any kind of, I don't know, any PR sort of thing from the police as well. But also, I was going to say that there's been new guidance. We see this from This Is the Equalities Watchdog, that basically has said that, especially for facilities, and I don't know if it's stretched for ID cards, that, you know, it's based on the sex that you were born with and the gender that you are. So very surprised that this has come through and it's still happening. I don't know about you, Jeremy, but yeah, these are things that still surprise me that they're happening.
I mean, completely, but my lot laugh because it's so farcical. Stephen in London says, should I be arrested as Dave? Will my case be thrown out if Donna arrives at the court? I mean, the whole thing's, you know, when you consider, on a serious note, what the hell's going on in this country, when you consider lawless towns and stabbings in London and taxation through the roof, and you get these stories and it's like, come on, guys, concentrate. So how is it 3 or 4 months into the sun? Are you loving it, dear boy?
Oh, it's been great, Jeremy. Yeah, I've had one small break.
Have you?
But, yeah, my first day, as I said, ended with Keir Starmer resigning as PM and Andy Burnham coming in as an MP for the first day. So it's been an absolute whirlwind, but it's been brilliant.
Yeah, they all speak good of you, boy. And listen, it's great of you to put yourself out and come on. Tom Scottson, political correspondent of The Sun. Go and buy it. Top newspaper, 18 minutes to 8. Oh, God. This is not going away, any of this. Morning, JK. Great show. Keeping us all sane. If the bloody police can't decide or don't know the difference between male and female sexuality, how can they decide on the difference between right and wrong, says Andrew in northwest Durham. Don't. This isn't very happy from Reg. She says, listening to the radio this morning, Jeremy, I'm broken. I'm absolutely broken. I've tried to remain positive, but every day they chuck something new to try and break us down. Reg didn't even ask for a mug. I think he should get a mug, don't you? Bless him, he's having a hard time. Probably doesn't want to drink tea, doesn't like it, depresses him. Won't have a drink. How can the public be expected to confirm their identity when the police can't confirm theirs? Your name, please. Jemima. All right, then, fair enough. Address? I'll give a false address. I'm joking. 17 minutes to 7. Have we managed to get hold of Benedict Spence? What, we've located him at some dodgy female's house somewhere in London, looking, completely and utterly shattered. The Lothario that is Benedict Spence is next on Talk Breakfast.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, the Housewife's Choice is back from 1 o'clock. Did a sterling job on breakfast and then went away with his 2 kids, and he's absolutely knackered, so he's coming back to work. Alex Phillips from 10, the brilliant Ian Collins from 1, and Trevor O'Sullivan. Have you got that picture? Please tell me. Have you got the picture for me? Kevin O'Sullivan, my mate, is on drive, and he's fantastic and brilliant. I managed last week to jokingly, by mistake, I said Trevor O'Sullivan. So we came up with a picture of what Trevor would... Trevor with the tash, looking like he's either been in panto or is in fact in the porn industry. Anyway, Trevor O'Sullivan, he said to me, enough, which means I'm just going to carry on. Kevin, Trevor O'Sullivan, here we drive from 4 o'clock, standing fantastic. Give him a lesson or even a listen. Johnny, good morning.
Morning, Jez. It's Johnny in the van. Just heard that breaking news story a minute ago. I think it was Dave that phoned in with it, that they're going to give Talk mugs now to migrants arriving in the country. That's just not fair, mate. I mean, you know, as an alarm clock Brit, getting up, going out, doing a bit every day. Where's my mug? Why ain't I entitled to a mug? I've worked here all my life. Honestly, this is getting worse, mate.
I'm sorry, but that's the way it's got to be. I don't want to do it, but the bosses here have said we need to be politically correct to give away Talk mugs to illegal migrants. Honestly, it's just for God's sake. I'm not giving any mugs to... Oh, 0344 499 1000. Jez, I'm transported to hospital for dialysis 3 times a week, many times by taxi. Chatting to drivers, it is amazing how many migrants they transport around. Most trips are to places like Coventry and Manchester. Why? From where? Many to look at a property. These cost £300 plus, all paid for by the taxpayer. Disgraceful. John is an 84-year-old in Lincolnshire. Thank you, my friend. Oh, God, there's so many of you wanting to get on today. Let's say a very good morning to a man who is like a chameleon. I never realised that he was what he was, but he's got a very interesting life. Benedict Spence, political commentator on Lothario. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm not doing much for my reputation this morning, am I?
Well, so now you were on, I think, Sky doing the papers, and we all walked into the studio and went, oh, he's got that disgusting brown suit on again, which was the chocolate one that we don't like, the linen one that's banned.
Oh, I'm sad that you don't like my particular tobacco-coloured suit, but, you know, I'll have to get another one made just to sort of suit you. What colour would you like?
Well, linen is linen, it's light linen. Are you, I don't want to be personal, but are you at home or are you somewhere you shouldn't be?
I'm at home now.
I don't know why you're sounding shocked. Gee, you're never at home, man. Great to have you on. B always is. Where do you want to start? I have to ask. Burnham in Kiev, my listeners and viewers, so lovely. They're slagging off what he's wearing. I'm being called a warmonger. I said that one of the few things, if not the only thing, that I was complimentary about Keir Starmer, and I'll attach this to Burnham, this is our war. It is absolutely essential, however costly, that we continue to support Ukraine against the Russians, and I fervently believe that. Do you agree with that?
I think so. And, I mean, the thing is, even if you didn't like the start of the war with between Ukraine and Russia, Britain has made it so that it now can't extricate itself from the conflict anyway, because we were at the forefront, we were in the vanguard of supporting the Ukrainians, even when many other European nations and other Western allies were dragging their heels. So put it this way, even if you don't particularly like our involvement in this, it's already happened, effectively. The Russians already know that we're involved. The cyber attacks will keep on coming. The efforts to undermine us on the international stage will keep on coming. So even if you did want to be a coward and say, no, it's nothing to do with us anymore, it wouldn't make things necessarily any better for us. We've already irritated that particular bear. So frankly, that's as the very worst case scenario. You might as well continue from that basis. But actually, I think we all agree that Ukrainian sovereignty is an important thing, is a valuable thing. Whatever the failings of that country might be, I think it's completely acceptable to say no, European allies shouldn't be menaced simply because a larger power decides to take a great big chunk of its territory. Now, does that mean that Europe has behaved particularly well in the build-up to this conflict? No. Does that mean America did? No. Does that mean that they've behaved particularly well during the conflict? No. But that, again, is partly why it's A, so important that we continue to support the Ukrainians, but B, we get our own house in order, that we are able to stand on our own 2 feet as some sort of international power. Because what business have we got supporting another country if we refuse to invest in our own defence?
Completely agree. I know it's only a small thing. What do you think of Andy Burnham sort of taking a look at the Ukrainian army dressed in a T-shirt and a pair of jeans? Do you think this is good working man's garb? Is he trying to make Zelensky look, well-dressed? Or do you think it's not right for the British Prime Minister to dress like that?
I think it's a bit lazy, honestly. I understand when Zelensky dresses the way he does. He is trying to cultivate an image of a nation's leader at war. That's completely justified. But what actually is the image that Andy Burnham is trying to cultivate here?
Blakey on the buses.
Yeah, honestly, it's not your cool dad. I have no idea what on earth that he thinks he can do. Like, it is very lazy, ultimately, is what it comes down to.
I'm a bit different to you. I think it's probably deliberate to try and look like a man of the people. I'm sorry, it misses the point for me.
But that's my issue. I don't think it is very... I don't think he's thought that through. I don't think the average person does look at him and go, oh, he looks just like me. I think they think he's a bit of a scruff, ultimately. Now, maybe in Manchester that worked out particularly well, but actually across most of the country, across alarm clock Britain, where people get up and have to put on, their working clothes, have to look smart every day for because that's what's expected of them. Why is it that the Prime Minister can just don a T-shirt and everyone's like, oh, that's fine?
Completely agree. Let's move it on. £500,000 a day, £185 million last year, to sort of move illegal migrants around the country. This sort of, this sticky plaster. Let's move them from hotels to HMOs to wherever. I don't buy, by the way, the government have said that. That's also for detaining them, because we don't detain any illegal migrants. These bills are ludicrous, Benedict. 185 grand for that, 100 grand for interpreters. We talk about this every single day, but I really am at a point where I don't think the politicians totally understand the increasing depth of anger at this ridiculous drain on our resources. And I don't know, whether it's just rhetoric, but unless somebody does something very soon, this is going to boil. It is going to continue to boil because it's so unfair. And I said it, don't know if you were listening, was back in Bournemouth on Saturday just briefly. I don't care what anybody says, you can slag me off. It's not what it was. There are hordes of male migrants hanging around, leering at women, drinking, smoking. You can see it a mile off. It's changing our country. It's changing our society. That is not far right. That is a factual observation. And I don't know what the answer is, but they need to do something.
We took in huge numbers of Ukrainian refugees. Now let's take apart the fact that the majority of them were women and children.
Yep.
Is, of course, the biggest difference here. Actually, do you see hordes of Ukrainian people hanging out on street corners?
Nope.
Spitting, costing us huge amounts of money? Or does everybody actually know somebody who's got a Ukrainian cleaner or a Ukrainian taxi driver or what have you? Actually, when they came to this country, the ones that did come, they got to work because they didn't want to sit about doing nothing. They wanted to contribute and they wanted to give back. And they also did all of this with the knowledge that the second that this conflict was over back home, they would go back home because that's where they wanted to be. They didn't want to run away overnight, but that is the average British person's understanding of what an asylum seeker is, of what a refugee is.
Completely. And also, just thinking on my feet, did we need to create a booklet for Ukrainians over here because their country was under attack, the women and children and the men? Did we need to create a booklet saying this is how to not rape women, this is how to not abuse children? No, because they had the same shared values. That's half the problem that the left will not acknowledge. These young, unvetted men come from a country where... And this is what I find, Benedict, so ironic. All the feminists, the left-wingers, all the do-gooders jump up and down and say, war-torn countries. They never say, geez, our women and children are at risk here. There is definitive proof that they're at risk. They throw at me like they did last week. Well, white men rape women too. Like that's some sort of justification. It's ludicrous.
It is that in particular, I have to say, is the most brain-dead response. And it shows you that you can never actually have an intelligent or fair conversation with these people. Because actually, we all know, looking at the stats, that if somebody is 2, 3, 10 times more likely to commit an offence because of, some sort of particular trait. That doesn't mean that they commit the majority, because you'd be terrified if they were committing the majority, because imagine how many offences that would be. We all understand the difference between increasing the likelihood, but as you say, the response we get back is, oh, but what about the white men who are already native? Let's deal with them and you kind of sit here and go, if you can't work out multiples, if you can't work out odds, what are we even doing having a conversation here? And I'm afraid this is a really dangerous thing, because as you say, eventually, if the numbers of people keep on coming in and they keep on behaving a certain way, if that keeps on happening, there will be a very angry backlash. It will boil over. But if the default response to people in the corner of those people is to simply refuse to engage and to pretend that you're the evil one and pretend to not know what you're talking about, that will actually hasten the end of the democratic process. Because if people on the left just stop engaging, stop listening, and keep on throwing allegations of racism at you, then eventually on the right, people will just disregard them as, well, they're half-wits because they can't count. So why are we even bothering to engage?
Completely agree.
To get their opinion on things.
2 minutes, 2 quick subjects. We found out today that 600 grand's worth of taxpayer money will be paid to civil servants who will work from home and will pay their heating bills in case they get cold.
It's staggering, and it's also pretty offensive, given that we've just gone through a summer of pretty staggering heat levels in many parts of the country, and we've been told across the board that, well, air conditioning isn't really something that we should have in this country because it's bad for the environment. But I bet you, if this keeps on happening, we'll be asked to front for their aircon as well, even though these are the same civil servants who are making it illegal to put air conditioning in new build houses. So, I think just that really takes the biscuit on some level.
That's actually a brilliant thing you've just said, yeah. The left-wing civil servants all want air conditioning, want to stop air conditioning, but they'll probably give it to migrants. The other great story, I say great, drives me barking mad, the Green Party. They're going to basically call for the end of tasers and pepper spray. And in fact, in their ideal world, they want no police and no prisons. People can come in, people can run amok, and they wonder why their figures are on the top. We asked the Green Party, and a hippie on Couscous said, like conference is weeks away and like nothing's in stone yet. But yeah, like we don't believe these things until they happen. Listen, they're nutters, aren't they? Sorry, I have to be honest. They are seriously mad.
They are, but I sort of slightly humorously read this story and thought, oh, they're getting rid of tasers and this, that, and the other, and I thought, well, this creates an opportunity for shotguns. We can actually, level up our weaponry here, if the police are going to not have anything. But obviously, I'm only half joking. This is the problem. If you decide to disarm the police at the exact moment in time that violent crime is getting worse and criminal gangs are getting more organised, eventually you'll create a police force that's less able to deal with the problems that it faces. What will then be the result of that? Eventually you will get a government that comes in that is very right-wing, that decides it doesn't particularly care about being nice to people based on their human rights, and it will arm the police in a way that actually the public don't want either. The public does not want a heavily armed police force like they have in the United States. We want one like we used to have. We want police officers who turn up to crimes like they used to do. We want a system that worked like our system used to do. You don't actually need
tasers. Stop being so remembrance and all that. I have to go, but I've had several women commenting that you look quite suave this morning in the open neck shirt.
I say, well, let me know who they are, and I'll call you from their flats in future.
No, I can't do that because they're all in secure units, Benedict. There we go. Good man, Benedict Spence, top man, almost 9 o'clock news, and then Simon Danshuk, ex-Labour MP, now reformer, on The Breakfast Show. Mick, good morning.
Morning, Jezza. It's a sunny day in Staffordshire. It's looking good. You're back on the TV, the radio, so not too bad. Show, well, it's okay, but you keep talking about these ex-royals. I'm not interested. Move on, lad, move on. And as for your mug, stick it. I don't want one of your mugs. The handle's on the wrong side. It's on the left. I'm not picking anything up that's on the left. So, stick your mug, stick your royal chat. Move on, lad, move on. Anyway, getting back to the sun. It's Mick in Staffordshire, if you're wondering. Carry on, Jezza, lad. Carry on.
Meghan came in, and it seems to me, maybe I'm being unfair, but it seems to me that she came in with an attitude that this might be an opportunity for her to make money, it might be an opportunity to advance her own interests.
Do you not think it was true love?
Look, it's never been what British monarchs and British royals have done. They're there to serve the country. She clearly wasn't interested in doing that. I was delighted when they left and went to America. I was disappointed that they've chosen to come back. However, I hope that on a human level there can be some degree of reconciliation.
It is therefore my honour to declare that the duly elected leader of the Labour Party is Andy Burnham.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much. I believe in all of you, and I am confident we can do it. Thank you very much. I have just come from Buckingham Palace, where I have accepted His Majesty the King's invitation to form a government. I know people at home are fed up with politics. I hear you, and I want to be honest with you. We have not been good enough, and we need to be better. We will be.
This man has no mandate whatsoever. He didn't stand on the 2024 general election manifesto. You cannot make the biggest change in British politics in 40 years without a mandate from the British people, and it will be only decent, right and proper to call a general election on that issue and to do it now.
Our fifth Prime Minister in 4 years. Blimey. And, well, look, we want him to succeed. But will this one be any different? Andy Burnham, the new head honcho, the speed this all happened, I know this is a well-trodden debate already, is actually breathtaking. 1 minute he was Mayor of Greater Manchester. What, a month and a bit ago he wasn't even an MP. The next he's holding keys to number 10 without the country ever really having a chance to scrutinise him in a prospective prime ministerial nothing at all. We really know very little.
I think Burnham has to walk a fine line. I think that's probably what's going on, because if he were to sweep into Downing Street and say, I'm going to change everything, I'm going to fix everything, I'm going to do things completely differently to Starmer, then people would say, hold on, mate, we need a general election in that case, because no one voted for that. No one voted for you to be Prime Minister. You weren't standing in the 2024 general election. We've never seen your manifesto. Who the hell are you? That's what people would be asking.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Final hour of breakfast for Monday, the 24th of August. Alex Phillips at 10, the brilliant Ian Collins at 1, and Trevor O'Sullivan. No, he's called Kevin. It's just that we did this as a joke and did a picture of him, which made him look, in the words of Peter Worthy, like a second... He says... Has Trevor O'Sullivan got a second job as a Mexican dictator with that moustache? Maybe. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. We're on till 10. Loads in the news. Harry and Meghan, yes, should they get security? Burnham in Kyiv. Should he be giving away secrets? Should he be supporting Ukraine? In my mind, absolutely. Maybe you disagree. A couple of extraordinary stories this morning. We're going to spend 600 grand next year allowing Home Office civil servants to work from home because we'll pay for their heating because they get cold. Pay for it yourself. We'll spend 185 million transporting illegal migrants around the country from hotel to HMO to wherever you don't know. What's the point of that? Why don't we just detain them? The Greens, they're in the news today. They're brilliant. No tasers for the police, no pepper spray. In fact, just go a stage further. No police, no prisons, and no borders. Let's legalise heroin. No, I'll tell you what, I'm very soon going to launch a thing that all Green Party, they should be deported as well. I think they're absolutely barking mad. We had Richard Tyson talking about reforms ideas about giving priority in social housing for Brits, hard-working Brits who were born here over people from other countries. And perhaps the weirdest story of all today is the police officers in Leicester, Norfolk and Suffolk are being given two... If they're gender fluid, apparently that means if you... I don't know what. Anyway, if you are gender fluid, you get two cards. So, depending on how you're feeling, you can decide what you're going to do. I mean, which has led to several people making some really good comments, including the best one so far from Ernie, who said, so if a woman objects to a strip search by a male officer, all he has to do in Leicestershire, Norfolk and Suffolk is whip out his female warrant card. You couldn't make this crap up, says Ernie. Honestly, I completely agree with you. Jez says, Peter in Milton Keynes. Do you know what Milton Keynes is famous for, Christian? Concrete roundabouts. Hi, Jez. The government want to pay the heating bills of civil servants working from home. I know, I told you. Why are you telling me? This is the same government that took winter fueler payments away from pensioners. You couldn't make it up if you try. How many times on this show do I hear the phrase, you couldn't make it up? Because our politicians are all, it seems, barking mad. Sue's on Canvey Island. We were talking about Canvey Island earlier, weren't we? Jez, great show. I like politicians to dress like Jacob Rees-Mogg and Air Authority, not looking that they've just done a shift on the dust cart. No disrespect to dustmen who do a great job. This is all about Andy Burnham pitching up in Kyiv this morning. He's on screen there in a polo shirt. And people are unimpressed. Do I care? Ish. Yeah, everybody. Well, look at that lot. Well, yeah. Andy Burnham dressing like a relief school teacher at secondary school is basically Labour's way of sticking their fingers up at Donald Trump after Trump gave Zelensky an earful for not dressing correctly. This is a sad thing, by the way. This is sad because there's this sort of campaign to get a mug off me. We've only got 20 talk mugs, and I keep giving them away. 15, because we're not allowed to, but I'm going to keep giving away, so everybody will have to drink out their own. I'm not quite sure what I have to do to get a message read out and talk, says Kiva in the West Midlands. I've been sending WhatsApp messages for over a year and Jeremy Carr's been ignoring me. I've never heard one, not one. I'm on the verge of never sending another. Surely that in itself deserves a mug. I mean, do you see, that's just emotional blackmail. Because she's changed her name. She says because of the nature of her job. I think it's just to get over the fact that we've read her messages repeatedly and she's trying to con me out of a mug. One bloke said, I don't want your mug on that voice note before the break because they're left-handed. I mean, I know I've fallen for it, but how does that work then? I don't care. I've just looked on eBay and ordered one of your mugs on there, and they are selling like hotcakes. Jeremy, I love your show. And how are they selling on eBay like hotcakes? We haven't got any in the bloody building. I love your show and recently turned off another news channel because of the vile lefties they have on You Speak the Truth. I also watched your old show all the time and enjoy watching you tell the guests the truth. They just didn't want to know. Carry on the good work. Thank you, Angie. At 8:42, we were told it was 20 to 7. At 8:44, we were told it was 20 to 10. Are the clocks working properly? Or as Jeremy... is the beginning of the end nigh? Let me get this right. At 8:42, we were told it was 20 to 7. That's absolutely true. I do apologise. At 8:44, we were told it was 20 to 10. Oh, God. Listen, maybe the beginning of the end, David Perry, is nigh. They laugh at me through there. I said to my wife the other day, and I'm allowed to joke about this. I mean, you can joke about cancer if you may because you've had cancer. Both of my parents died of dementia, and I had a moment some weeks ago, and I got quite sort of upset about it, and she said to me, well, why are you getting upset? She won't know anything about it. Brilliant. Oh, I'm not reading that. Let's get to that. Should we get a guest on? We love... God, it sounds like a show. Oh, you want a voice note? Lisa, good morning.
Morning, Jez. Lisa from Canterbury. The gender fluid police is an absolute bloody disgrace. So you're telling me that they can hand over a card and say they're female and strip search women? It's an absolute, utter disgrace, and I wouldn't allow it myself. So if a guy comes up with a bloody beard and calls himself Sarah, well, I'll be telling him to do one. I can tell you that now. Thanks very much. Bye.
David's in the Cotswolds. Jezza, if a police officer can't work out if they're a man or a woman, and they have to have 2 warrant cards depending on the day of the week, then how the bloody hell can they work out what a crime is or not? Is crime interchangeable now? I'm sorry, I'm arresting you for first-degree murder. I'm sorry, did you do some shoplifting? I don't know what you're talking about. As for Barry and his American bride... What? Oh, he's got a brass neck to ask. Who's Barry? Is that Harry? Oh, Harry. And his American bride. He's got the brass neck to ask the taxpayer to fund a load of armed police so he can drop his kids off at Eton and go play polo. Hasn't his family got enough of our cash, says Dave in the Cotswolds. I know why you're upset, Dave, because they're coming near you, aren't they, in the Cotswolds, the invasions of the celebrities. Morning, Poppy, Kinsey and Jeremy. It was about 3 hours ago. If I'm to put into care home, I'm required to sell my home to pay for the service, yet these unemployed multimillionaire Harry and Meghan are expecting security for free. Something slightly out of kilter there. Let's say a very good morning to a man who always speaks the truth. We love him. Ex-Labour MP, now a Reform defector, Simon Danshuk. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to be with you. I'm enjoying listening to all those messages from your listeners. They're fantastic, aren't they?
Mate, it's crazy this morning. I'm just going to fire things at you because there's so much. Burnham in Ukraine. You were a politician. You always wear a tie or a shirt. Should our Prime Minister... I mean, I don't, frankly, do I? Should he pitch up in a polo shirt and jeans? Is that disrespectful? Are people missing the point? Should he be giving away our secrets? I personally think his support for Ukraine is very important, although I've been called a warmonger by some this morning. What's your take?
Well, I think he should be dressed in a suit and tie. I think that's the role he's signed up to, and that's how he should be dressed. On the issue of Ukraine, he's over there and he's announcing that he's giving the Ukrainians the details of how to build these particular weapons and bombs. And I'd be more interested in him going out there and encouraging a peaceful resolution of the situation there. So I'm happy for him to go out there. I'm happy for him to support the Ukrainians. But at the same time, I think we should be trying to bring closure on that particular conflict. I mean, it's absolutely awful, isn't it?
It is awful in terms of how the Ukrainians have suffered, but also the cost to all sorts of countries. But I do, we'll agree and disagree on certain things. That's the nature of a democracy. I do think it is Europe's war. I don't think Russia should be allowed to do this. I think disproportionately, probably the United Kingdom pays a lot more. I get called a warmonger for that. I'm not a warmonger at all. Like you, I'd like a peaceful resolution. But people who say I'd like a peaceful resolution don't understand what Vladimir Putin's all about, do they?
Well, that's an interesting comment. I mean, it has to be accepted that Putin feels threatened, doesn't he, by Europe, and that's one of the reasons. I'm not defending Putin by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's a dictator, and I don't think he should be there. But there's no doubt about it that he feels threatened by Europe, by the West. And that's one of the reasons that this conflict is going on, and it needs resolution. You're right. I mean, the Ukrainians shouldn't have to, deal with this on their own. It is a European war. There's no doubt about that. But we have to, at some stage, move towards resolution. And I don't know why that we're always just giving the Ukrainians that little bit more. It's almost as though we're sustaining the war as opposed to helping it reach a conclusion. And I think that's exactly what we need, some sort of conclusion on it.
Interesting analogy, don't disagree with that. Can I talk about reform a minute? We had Richard Tice on an hour ago talking about, he's got a press conference at 11 o'clock this morning, Deputy Leader of Reform, saying that working Brits under the age of 35, we pushed to the front of the queue for social housing. I think there were figures that some ridiculous percentage of social housing last year was given to migrants. The issue that I don't really understand, and he tried to explain to me, you know what it's like at 7 o'clock in the morning, maybe you can identify more, is I'm absolutely all for people who come here and are giving nothing, paying their stamp, paying into the pot, however you want to describe it. I think it's ludicrous that they're put at the front of the queue. And I think about, veterans, and I think about, young families just about managing with all the hassles of the cost of living crisis. I think that's brilliant from Reform. There's a slight grey area for me. Maybe you can help me. Say I'm married to somebody who's come from another country and has been here 15 years and that person pays tax, but we're in that house. Would we lose that house because she's a foreigner? I don't get that bit. You perhaps know more than me.
Well, I suspect you wouldn't, because one of you living in that house would be undoubtedly British and British born, even if your partner wasn't. But I completely endorse what they're proposing. I mean, social...
No, I do as well. I just wanted... A couple of people are asking me to explain it, because there's always those concerns, like there were with the welfare cuts, when Robert Jenrick came in and he explained to people, because the minute they hear welfare cuts, they go, oh, my God. The minute they hear social housing, people are going to be chucked out, they go, oh, God. Some of these actions, though, might not sound perfect, but they need to be done, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the issue, that social housing is really limited in the United Kingdom, isn't it? There isn't that much of it, not least because, rightly or wrongly, we've sold a fair proportion of it off, and we haven't been building that much of it over the last 20, 30, 40 years. So it's a very limited commodity. And I think Reform's exactly right to say that young Brits should have priority in this case.
To get on the housing ladder, we know how difficult that is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They can't be living with the parents into the 30s and 40s, as is currently the case. And I see it for myself. I live in Westminster, in the centre of London. And there are council estates here, and they're predominantly dominated by foreign nationals. There's no doubt about that. You can see it just by walking around. And why do they get priority?
Yeah.
Well, and it's only, 50 years ago, they would be predominantly white British people who were living in these council estates in Westminster. But that's not the case now. And why do we support this? Why have we supported this for so long?
I think it's really important, and to me it's quite interesting as a broadcaster doing this every day. You think about Reform saying that, you think about Reform talking about detaining and deporting. There are so many things that need... I mean, I was talking earlier, I talk about it all the time, going to Bournemouth. I went again yesterday. I don't care what anybody tells me. Take me on. It's not what it was. It was full of migrant men, leering, hanging around the streets. It's obvious a mile off. And the problem, I guess, that Reform might say they have, my friend, is what they say appeals to so many people. But if they were elected, the kickback on so many of these things would be huge. And what you then need are politicians, well, frankly, with the balls or not the balls, depending on their gender, unless they've decided to join the police, and they can decide on a daily basis, to deal with that criticism, because it's so important. I was talking earlier, you were an MP for a long time. I was talking earlier about conviction politicians. I want somebody who doesn't care if the 50% don't like what they're doing, that they've been elected and they do what they say they're going to do, because there are some really harsh and tough decisions to be taken, aren't there, in the next few weeks, months and years in this country?
Jeremy, you make such an important point. The politicians that are elected under Reform at the next general election will have a crucial job to do. And it's not for the faint-hearted. They're going to have to make some very tough decisions.
Yeah.
Just looking at housing in its own right. I mean, we have to have a clear act. We can't continue to develop housing just for foreign nationals who are coming over here. That's just not sustainable.
No, and I, because, you know, we had Robert Jenrick in last week because he made the announcement about welfare. You and I were talking about it. And the problem is, of course, Si, that genuine people go, oh, my God. So it's about explaining, and it's about saying we might not get it 100% right, but for me, there has to be the conviction there to finally face stuff in this country that's going on. Whatever your political persuasion, right, we don't have a defence system, and that's the first rule of government. Our public services are creaking. Our taxation is too high. Our police are, at best, I'm afraid, at the top, weak-willed and lily-livered. Our justice system is two-tier. Our judges, most of them, seem left-wing and slightly insane. There's so much that needs attacking, and I don't have a problem in doing that or talking about that, but lots of people will kick back, and we need strength in the face of that.
A Reform victory will result in protests from the far left. It'll result in strike action from the far left. The far left will be very robust in attacking a Reform government. There's no doubt about that. But we have to be strong. And one of the issues is that the British people are so fair. That's why we've got in the position that we're in. You know, being reasonable and fair. Accepting illegal immigration to the point where we're being taken advantage of is what's got us where we are, and we have to be a bit tougher. It's going to be a real challenge for Reform members of Parliament. I'm not sure, you know, all of them will know what they're taking on, but it's going to be a big challenge. But we've got to really implement a strong agenda coming into power. There's no doubt about it.
3 very quick subjects. Can't wait to see your face. Government waste. Turns out that we're going to be paying civil servants from the Home Office who work from home up to £600,000 amongst them all, so we can pay for their heating bills, Simon Danshuk. That's great, isn't it, from a government that took away the heating for pensioners? Great.
Absolutely appalling, isn't it? Why don't they pay for it themselves? They have the luxury of working from home, and the offices that they're not working in are still being heated and taken care of. I mean, it's outrageous.
There's you working from home in your office. I'll pay for the heating, don't worry. Have you ever met have you got involved with the Greens? Because I haven't heard anything environmental. Their latest mad thing that's been coming down to them today is they want police to lose tasers and pepper spray. In fact, some of them want to go further. They want to lose the police and prisons, just have a free-for-all. Everybody can run around. Heroin will be completely legal. There won't be any prisons. There'll be no police and people can go streaming willy-nilly. They're mad, aren't they? Mad.
You know, they are absolutely mad, absolutely crazy. I'm amazed that they get as much support as they do.
Draining away, though, Si. Draining away it is.
Thankfully, yeah. When I was in Parliament, the Greens were all about environmentalism, about saving the planet. They've moved very far away from there. They've become the momentum, the far left political party now.
I completely agree. And final one, can't wait to see your face. Gender fluid police. Have you heard this story this morning, Simon Danshuk? Forces in Leicester, Norfolk and Suffolk have given officers who identify as gender fluid both male and female warrant cards, allowing them to use whichever identification they want to use on a given day, depending on how they're feeling. Honestly, mate, what's going on?
Some of the challenges in Leicester, just take Leicester as an example, some of the challenges there in that constabulary, and they're worrying about this issue. Is that for real? I don't want a police officer that's gender fluid, to be quite frank. You know, I want a police officer that's going to police the community in which I live.
I don't even care what gender they are. I'm sick to death of having discussions about things that I would like to think, call me boring, and I know this comes from on top, that your average policeman or woman will be doing everything they could to prevent crime and prosecute people who break the law, not worry about what sex they are on a given day or making excuses for people who perpetrate crime. It's beyond me, mate. It's beyond me. I'm getting older by the day.
And a total waste of money, you know. And just bringing it back to reform, I was speaking to some reform councillors over the weekend, and the amount they've saved by cutting out this type of nonsense from council budgets is phenomenal. They've saved millions by cutting out this stuff, because it all costs money. It's absolutely nonsense. It's a waste of taxpayers' money as well.
Good man. Listen, it's great to have you on. Thank you for stepping into the breach. We love it. We love it. We love it. Simon Danshuk, former Labour MP, now reformer, regular on breakfast, 9:22. Morning, Jane.
Morning, JK. I just wanted to enlighten people about this gender thing going on in the police. So I was involved in a traffic accident. Nothing to do with me, wasn't my fault, but because the police were called, we both had to have a breathalyzer test. Armed police, 6'3", he turns up, asks if it's okay if I take a breathalyzer test, and one of his colleagues said, is the lady okay, blah blah blah, and he referred to me. He said, are you okay if I call you a lady? I said, in my world there are only two sexes, male and female. You should have seen his face. Completely changed the way that he communicated with me. Shut down, yes no answers, whereas before he was like, you know, are you okay? It's gone too far.
Couldn't agree more. 9:23. Shocking news from Paul in sunny Belfast. After all this talk of talk mugs that Carl can give away, I got one last week from eBay for £11.99. How? Get this though, if you think that's embarrassing. If I wanted it signed by a talkTV presenter, it was an extra £50, but Carl was only 50p. There you go. Blimey, O'Reilly. You see, you don't want me signing anything. Let's say a very... Oh, no, let's go to the phone line. Stoke-on-Trent. Mike, good morning.
Morning, JK.
How are you?
First, yeah, well, what's that? Can you just confirm that it is not April the 1st?
Why?
Well, this police thing, it's a joke.
What, the police thing?
Yeah. I mean, all right, so if Jane gives you a ticket and John turns up at court... How does that work?
So this is what we're saying this morning. Police officers who identify as gender fluid in Leicester, Norfolk and Suffolk have been given 2 cards, one to be a man, one to be a woman. Woman texted me and went, so if I'm being strip searched by a bloke, and I go, I'm sorry, that's against the law and my rights, he can go outside, come back with his card and say I'm identifying as Jane today. The whole thing's ludicrous, man.
Well, the other thing is, if it's Jane and John, do they get paid twice?
Mikey, thank you very much. 344-499-1000-925. Let's say a very good morning to the ex-editor of The Sun, political editor. He's a legend. Trevor Kavanagh, good morning.
Hi, Jeremy. What a mad day.
Honestly, mate. Honestly, let's just do the light-hearted story first. Police officers who identify as gender fluid have been issued with both male and female warrant cards in Leicester, Norfolk and Suffolk. What the hell's going on with the world we once knew, Trev? It's ridiculous.
It's turned into a Monty Python sketch, hasn't it? I mean, it is a joke. It's a sick joke. And it isn't policing anymore, is it?
No, it's not policing.
It's gesture politics in blue uniforms.
Yeah, and I actually, to be honest, on a serious note, I feel so sorry for the men and women on the front line, because these madcap bosses who seem to be ticking every single box they can for whatever reasons are the ones that are responsible. Trev, always fantastic to have you on. Great article this morning, page 10 in The Sun. I love this headline. Only growth in Britain is crime, joblessness and inflation. The PM's brave to want an early election. Do you know something I don't? Does he want an early election?
I think he would have an early election if he thought he could win. Yes, any politician would. And they were counting and hoping for a Burnham bounce, which has marginally appeared on the polling trends, but I don't think it's enough for him to take the risk. The thing that he wants is his own mandate. He wants his own 5-year period. He doesn't really want to be bound by the Labour Party manifesto on tax and VAT from 2024. And he does have an opportunity while the right wing of the political firmament is divided and the Tories and Reform are basically at war with one another. So those are the opportunities that open themselves to him. But what he needs is a clear enough run to make sure he doesn't actually lose, as has happened in the past.
It's really interesting, isn't it? I remember Theresa May thought it was all locked up. She went against Corbyn and nearly lost, for God's sake, which shocked many, many people. But Burnham's an interesting one for me. That's not a compliment when I say that. Of course, you know, he will forever be accused of inheriting Keir Starmer's manifesto, if you like, the majority, whatever you want to call it. In essence, I suspect he could probably end up with a 20 or 30 seat majority if things were going well. But you're going to trade 150 MPs who voted for you to be there and let them end their jobs. I also think that the bounce, there was one poll out yesterday, did you notice this, where Labour had gone backwards now and that the Reform were again once a couple of points in the lead. Reform's had its issues, we know about that. They're fighting back. I think it will be fair to say today they've got an 11 o'clock presser with Richard Tice talking about social housing. I think the thing with Burnham is the longer this goes on, or rather the deeper the cross-examination, which will start when Parliament happens, then I think you'll see a difference. Because if you are simply elected to replace a man whose legislative 5-year plan you've got to carry out anyway, was Keir Starmer thrown out because he was not very good at politics, or was he also thrown out because so much of what they brought in was wildly unpopular? How does Burnham change that? Because he's vowed to follow the manifesto.
Yes, and I think you've summed it up very well there with the fact that basically they've been found out. What they were elected, the landslide they were elected on was entirely a gesture of disgust from the British voters against the Conservative Party, not in favour of a Labour regime. And I think that people have very rapidly discovered buyer's remorse. In fact, that happened within weeks of Starmer taking office. I think that risks being echoed again under Burnham, as people think, well, he's a nice chap, he smiles a lot, he's got very concerned eyebrows. But, you know, the thing is that immigration is in various forms, and you're seeing it today with Richard Tice and the social housing. Immigration is right there at the top of the agenda, and the Labour Party has nothing to say whatsoever in terms of dealing with it, with the boat people, with the illegal immigrants, with even the legal immigration. And as long as they have nothing to say, they are in danger of the next election whenever it's called.
I so agree. The thing I loved about your article, page 10 today, peeps, only growth in Britain is crime, joblessness and inflation. PM's brave to want an election. Let's talk about growth in the economy. I remember Starmer saying growth, 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 and yet they brought in NI and destroyed small businesses. They brought in workers' rights through the roof and destroyed even more small businesses which generate jobs and income, etc., etc. It's almost as if Burnham, this sort of PR effect, I mean, I don't know about you, but I think the British public, and you'd have more experience of this, are actually quite savvy now for a variety of reasons. Maybe it's COVID, maybe it's the succession of failed governments or politicians, prime ministers who seemingly let us down. But I think the British people question more now. I think the silent majority realise their opinion is worthwhile. And when you write, the only growth in Britain is crime, absolutely. Joblessness, absolutely. Inflation, absolutely. Tax, absolutely. Creaking public services, all those things. I think you can masquerade around Kiev, you can go up north and build North Number 10, and I'm not dissing the guy, but you need to read the room and read the mood, and I don't think successive, but I'm not sure if he even reads the mood. It's all jolly nice and lovely and have a free bus pass, but there are, in my mind, decisions to be taken by a Prime Minister at some point who doesn't give a toss about not being popular. I think this one likes being liked too much. That's just my opinion, just an old-fashioned opinion.
He likes being liked by his own party, and that's the biggest problem. As I point out in that article, Keir Starmer learned that while he had a huge majority, he wasn't in command of that majority, they were in command of him. And that is the same with Andy Burnham. He will dance to the tune of the left-wing majority on his backbenches. And, you know, the thing about his policies is that they don't quite add up. Here he is saying that he will back Ukraine to the hilt. He will continue to pour money into defending Ukraine. But in the same breath, we're basically challenging Putin, who is ready to respond, to attack us as a result. Where is the money going to come from to defend us against any attack from Putin? I mean, again, it's all gesture politics. A few quid to Ukraine to make him look good, but the billions needed in order to defend this country, well, we'll have to wait for Healy's budget, but I doubt if there's going to be that much there either.
I think, just to finish, I think that phrase is great. Gesture politics. I want conviction politics, Trev, the politics that we used to know, whether, you know, and I used the example of Blair and Thatcher, both had an agenda stuck to it, despite it was unpopular at stages. But I don't know. You look at them all nowadays. Focus group. What your spad whispers in your ear. I don't mind if a politician gets something wrong. I just like to know that they got it wrong without somebody telling them they just made a mistake, and they can move on and learn from it. But interesting times. Great article. One final question. When he comes back to Parliament and Parliament comes out of recess, it might be quite hard for him, don't you think, when he has to start justifying all of this?
Well, I think quite a lot of us are looking forward to the first clash with Kemi Badenoch, who has proved to be the great gladiator in Parliament in the last couple of years. I mean, she really did for Keir Starmer, and she might do the same for Andy Burnham, because there's an awful lot of hot air to be punctured here. We don't really know anything about what Burnham is doing in detail. We know his broad gestures, as we've just discussed, but we don't know what he's actually going to do and how he's going to do it, how he's going to spend the money and afford to do it. And I think that confrontation every week between the leader of the opposition and the prime minister of the day is going to be the cockpit at which Burnham is going to be exposed for the weak read that he actually is.
Great to have you on. Oh, one final question, don't scout, Christian. Do you believe that our Prime Minister should turn up in Kyiv in a pair of jeans and a T-shirt, or like me, are you old-fashioned? Do you think he should be in a suit?
Well, I really do think it just doesn't work, does it? No. You've got to dress for the job you're doing. You can't turn up in court dressed like that. You can't be a politician and a prime minister and wander around looking like someone who's just come off the beach or out of a pub. You've got to look serious, surely.
I completely agree. We love having you on. Thank you as ever, my dear friend Trevor Cavan, former political editor of the Sun newspaper. One Trevor, another Trevor to come before 10 o'clock. Plus next, Mother's Back. There's only one person you need to listen to when it comes to the royal saga, that is Harry and Meghan. Angela Levin is next on Talk Breakfast. Laura, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. Laura in Wiltshire. Listening about these civil servants getting their heating bills paid for, it's outrageous. And if they've all got offices as well that are sitting there empty, we're also paying to heat those. Maybe what they should do is move some of these migrants out of HMOs into nice offices that they could convert into dormitories in Westminster. Wonder how all of the others would enjoy that. Talk about spreading it about. Great show.
We've just got a wall of silence from the government at every level. In our little village, we've actually got, it will be a 10-to-1 male to female proportion.
That's grotesque. It's grotesque, isn't it?
10-to-1. And as I say, not a single backbencher, MP backbencher, has dared to make what I call a career-ending discussion, a career-ending discussion dare to mention that you have a feeling for women and children who are going to be exposed to this risk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Angela Levin and another Trevor on the show ahead of 10 o'clock. Morning, Jez and Poppy. That was early. If the pair of Montecito grifters want security, maybe they could be housed in the Tower of London. Should be pretty safe for them there, says Neil on Stoke-on-Trent. Jane, can't stand those two grifters walking around holding hands. What are they, 12? Oh, I love it. Morning, both. Harry. As a veteran, Harry has destroyed any reputation or respect he may have had. They should both join Andrew wherever he's been exiled to. I believe, says Zarina, that the gruesome twosome are here for next year's Invictus Games. We are being used and abused by this pair of grifters. How these two untalented buffoons have been allowed to get away with this rubbish for so long is utterly, utterly beyond me. Morning, Jenny.
Morning, Jeremy. It's Jenny in the van. Just ringing up regarding these mugs that you're giving away. I've noticed that you're not giving many mugs away to the men that phone in, but you've been giving it to us girls. So now I've re-identified this morning. I was wondering if you're able to send me a mug, you know, especially if I flatter me eyelashes at you. Does that work? Love you, Jez.
Love you too, Jen. Not a problem. We'll get one in the post to you. This is all because of that story about the police officers. We're going to say a very good morning. I love this lady. I say mummy. She's younger than me. Angela Levin, good morning.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
And you, my darling. Only you. I want a response. It's nothing royal. I just want... Good morning to Rob, by the way. Bless him. Police officers, it's being reported, Angela Levin, in Leicester, Norfolk and Suffolk, watch your face, who identify as gender fluid, that means they can't decide, are being issued with both male and female warrant cards. So when they go to arrest somebody, they might be John on a Monday and Mary on a Tuesday. Angela Levin, what do you make of that?
nonsense.
Brilliant, brilliant. There we go. Mother spoken. Harry and Meghan, bizarre weekend. Loads in my head. This story about her acting part in The Gentleman, we heard on Saturday it's been withdrawn because of the backlash. Now it's apparently still on. Heard rumours this weekend they're not here for long. Heard rumours this weekend that they'll move on to Australia and whatever. But the big debate is all about security. I've heard from Poppy and other people that they will be given security. Ex-Home Secretary David Blunkett arguing that they should. People are saying, look, King's son, grandchildren, you couldn't leave them. But that's just going to make the King look weak and this country are going to laugh. And I don't think it's good for the monarchy, do you?
No, I am boiling over with anger when I read this piece in the Times. You know, I'm very respectful for Lord Blunkett. Blunkett, it's very difficult for him. But the rudeness that Harry is going through, he put 25 Taliban. I should not think of them as people. I should think of them as chess pieces. That's what he put in his book, right? So we have all these people saying, I'm so sorry for him. He worked so hard. He was wonderful. And it goes through that he has done so much for this country. He's a close member of Royal. Look what he's done for the country. It's nothing. He hasn't done anything for the country. And Emily Thornberry, who I loathe, she said that he's got to be looked after. His family must be safe. Got to have lots of money. The Duke and Sussex has made a contribution to our country and to public service. What? He's ruined it. He's ruined it for his father. He's ruined it for so many people.
A lot of people would say, I'm playing devil's advocate, don't tell me off. Some people would say, well, he did military service, so he gave something back. But that doesn't justify it. The whole problem here is, and we talked about it the other day, right, does he deserve not wanting to be in the firm, slagging off the firm, calling it racist via his wife, to then, because it suits the fact he's probably got no money or the opportunities in America are over, to come here and expect, this is the thing I haven't said yet, to expect exactly the same level of treatment that those who graft day in, day out, like William and Kate, who get no thanks probably for it, why should it be able to just flaunt in and out? Honestly, I think they are economic migrants. I was ended up in the newspapers for saying that the other day.
Yeah,
I do.
He wants to have the same as the King has, and his heir to the throne. But he's not doing anything. But he doesn't want to do anything for the country. He's not going to do any work. He's going to play around exactly what he wants with Meghan and the children, and it's going to cost us $5 million a month.
Do you know, 5 million? Do you actually think he will get what he wants? And this is a real issue because you're like me. You're very pro the royal family, but I think this is a real issue for the King because lots of people online are saying this is weak of you. You might be ill and you might want to see your kid, but these people are taking the pee out of the British public, and there are many people saying, "Come on, Kingy, you must have known about this. Put your foot down."
Yeah, but what the King has done so far has said, it won't be coming for Christmas. I don't think that means a thing for him. He wants money, he wants power, and he wants to win. That's the thing. And I don't know that the King is up to being a fighter at the moment.
But then you're abusing an old man and taking advantage, aren't you, willingly? That's the point.
Yes,
what about William? Any news on... I mean, we saw those pictures at the weekend where Grin and Bear It, the marvellous Kate.
Apparently the King is going to give more attention to him than to Harry and Meghan. But Harry and Meghan are going to be out and having a lovely time and using our money. I mean, how dare they ask us for all this money?
How do you say to the people who say the problem with Harry and Meghan is they end up getting all this publicity because outlets like us talk about them? If we stop talking about them, maybe that would be a good idea. What do you say to that?
I would say that Meghan could beat us because she finds all sorts of things. You see, whenever she does things, she always comes back and says, oh, this is happening, I'm doing this, I'm going to be that. They were going to move, they were going to go have her a film, she was going to have another film. She just lies. She just lies and lies and lies. And that's why originally now that it's a mess. Everything's a mess, but she doesn't care. As long as she can actually get her face in the camera, She's all right. She's ruined Harry.
Yes, she has ruined Harry, and you know, I wouldn't be so disrespectful, but he's whipped, isn't he? And that's obvious. And where this ends, I've got absolutely no idea. Does it end with them coming back here? Does it end with her walking away? I see them living in the Cotswolds or whatever, going to charity things and getting more publicity, as we said the other week, than other members of the royal family doing really, really hard work. And that's the issue for me, the real issue for me.
Yeah, but she's not going to want to be in the cold. She wants to be there where there's not many people who know her. She won't be there if she wants to go to the shops and nobody there sees her. Come on, no, but we mustn't know where she is, and we mustn't know where the children are. You know what? Just stop it. You want all our money, and then you don't want us a penny return, like seeing the children or seeing her. She's making up all sorts of stories. She does it all the time.
You're not a fan of hers, are you?
I loathe her.
Shall I tell you who's a big fan of yours? Our Rob in Newcastle, 6'4", pure man. He says you're the funniest thing on this station. He's just texted me and said you said Lord Bunkit.
Did I say Bunkit? Blunkit. Blunkit.
Blunkit, not Bunkit.
Well, I get very cross, you see. I mean, I'm so angry about it all. And I think what a terrible thing to do. They've got a wonderful opportunity in this country. They're a wonderful way of looking after us and everybody, you know...
Do you fear what they will do to the longevity of the monarchy? Because for me, all this argument about different households and money fuels the Republican argument, which I'm completely against. But I just see, again and again, they bring more trouble to the royal door every time they do it.
Yeah, well, Harry's in the mood now that he's going to kill everything off no matter what. I mean, he just is in a mood where he's going to be very hard, very harsh. And actually here he's asking for something for Meghan, she could speak for some phony thing.
No, this is awful. This was at a premiere a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
She's meeting Jay-Z and Beyonce, and he whispers on camera to the head of Disney. She does voiceovers, you know. I mean, I can never imagine. Obviously, I'm old-fashioned. I was brought up. The monarchy was this sort of institution that you garnered respect for. I don't think anybody would rush around about the Queen Mother going, she does a good voiceover, by the way. She could do traffic and travel on the local radio station. It's bloody ridiculous. Where does it all end?
She was in a bad mood. She was very cross that she couldn't get anything. So he then has a thing that he has to go and get things for her.
Do you think he'll ever walk away from her, Anne?
Well, I keep thinking he should, but you see, she's got a way of keeping him under her, with her.
No, I know you. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think she knows how to make him happy, and she will always be there for him. But
what you're saying is she puts it on a plate whenever he wants it.
Some people have said that she's going to leave the kids with him and she's going to go back because she couldn't bear to stay here. Now, I understand that she couldn't bear to stay here, but, you know, I don't think Harry would want the children there. Who would look after them? It would be very difficult. But this thing about Meghan can go back.
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to be around that much. But they don't do it like that. They don't say, look, would you mind, we'll just start this and we'll spend 4 weeks here and we'll go away for 2 weeks. And they can make it straightforward. They make it drama. Everything they do is drama.
I don't think they'll stay here full time. I think in a year or so they'll be gone. I think they'll go to Australia. And then you argue about what's that like on the kids. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't seem fair, does it?
Very heavy on the king. And in 6 months, they will have filmed about Diana, and then they can go away. I think it's all for that, too. They've now got everything paid to get to the filming they want to do about Diana.
I'm with you, Angela. I always think there's always an ulterior motive to everything they do. Can I just say that no day is complete without you? You're my favourite guest by a mile. We love you, and thank you as ever for being on the show. Angela Levin, thank you very much indeed. If you are tuning in just now, by the way, this whole show has been dominated by people wanting free talkTV mugs. We've only got 20. I'm giving them all away. I don't give a toss. I don't mind if I get told off, and then we're going to drink out of plastic cups. But this is the best one so far from Bobby. Jez, you give me a great idea flogging knockoff talkTV mugs at a car boot. I was walking around a car boot yesterday near Bournemouth. You wouldn't believe how many sellers were listening to talk. So I'm looking on eBay for ceramic mug printers, and by this time next year, I'm going to be a millionaire and you won't have nothing to eat out of or even drink. Danny, good morning.
Jezza, Danny from Bedfordshire here. Great show. As usual, I'm another alarm clock Brit listening to this waffle about these warrant cards for the police. So they're meant to be the law keepers, the stand-up members of society. How can they arrest you for, just say, fraud when they don't even know what gender they are? They don't know their own truth, let alone the real truth. Mate, stop it. I just can't do it anymore. It's just beyond the joke. Have a great day. Have a great day.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
It's getting quite painful, these people begging for mugs. Hello, Melissa. She says, I'm in Cambridge. I'm not an alarm clock Brit, but I get up at 5 o'clock every morning to get my husband up, who starts at 7 and comes home at 7. Maybe he deserves the mug more than I, but I'm absolutely desperate for one of your lovely mugs. I'm sorry, Christian. It's not me. I've got nothing up. I'm sorry, Christian. I'm sure you're at the end of your tether. But I've done that. I've sent voice notes, emails, and still got no mug at all. So I've been asking today, well, so you can stuff it, Chris. Well, oh, have I got that there? What's going on? Oh, the other shoulder. Sorry about that. Is that... There we go. Good. She says, please, please, with the cherry on top. One last thing. I think Meghan will get an acting job for Earl Spencer. The book's going to be made into a film, and I think Meghan's going to play Diana. And that's Melissa with her address. I might well give the mug to Melissa. Oh, dear Jeremy. There are Jeremy Carr mugs already on sale. That's from the old days. Does this mean they can have 2 passports and 2 driving licences? What, the police officers who identify as gender fluid? Probably. Sarah, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. It's Sarah from Croydon. Yes, Andy Burnham should absolutely be wearing a suit and tie. He looks dreadful, and his T-shirt's creased. It's not even ironed properly. He looks terrible. He's representing the UK. He's representing the people of this country, and he turns up looking like that. We're an embarrassment on the world stage, and he's just representing that completely.
I'm not going to wear my trainers anymore then. Right, 8 minutes to 10. I'm very delighted to have my next guest on. He is a man of such talent and such quality that he's changed his name and grown a moustache. We say a very good afternoon to Drive Time presenter Trevor O'Sullivan. Good morning, Trevor.
Hello, Jim. How are you doing?
Look, we can see him. Oh, mate. Do you know, honestly, I've done this thing to say, does he look like an out-of-work dictator? Honestly, though, I'm about to blow smoke up your backside. The Drive show's sounding fantastic, pal.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. What annoyed me about that description last week of me with my moustache, Trevor, looking like a an out-of-work porn star. Now, porn star, I'll take. It's the out-of-work bit that I didn't like. You know, come on.
That's the fear we all have, though, isn't it, Trev? That's the fear we all have, that it's all over at any point soon.
It will be over very, very soon. For Trevor O'Sullivan, I hope.
All right, then. Mate, I've got to... only you could answer this. Police officers who identify as gender fluid have been issued with both male and female warrant cards in Leicester, Norfolk and Suffolk. So if you get arrested by John and yet Mary arrives in court, you could get off. What if you're a woman being strip-searched by PC John and she says, I don't like this? You have to go next door and come back as Marie. It's ridiculous.
Well, that guy just WhatsApped in to your show. I'm with him. I mean, just make this madness stop. Yeah. It's insane. You know, we want coppers who can protect the public, who can catch the bad guys, make this country safe. We don't want coppers who are wondering whether, oh, I don't know, shall I have my female pass today or shall I have my male pass? Honestly, this is not what we want from the police. Can someone tell these morons, these police chiefs who run our constabularies, get back to proper policing, and let's not have coppers who are worrying in the morning about what gender they're planning to identify as. This is just mad. This is a symbol of where this country is going so profoundly wrong.
Well, I couldn't agree more. And to give you, because we've got a minute, to give you another example of where this bloody country is going, if that's not enough, the Greens have today called for the end of tasers and pepper spray with the police, and in fact they want to go further. They don't want police, they don't want prisons, they just want anarchy, where everybody can run around, take heroin and the borders are open. That's what we're dealing with, Kev. That's the reality, man.
Yeah, that is what we're dealing with. The Greens are the epicenter of everything that's wrong with this country. All these people who just virtue signal and believe in this absolute claptrap that is never going to happen, but somehow or other we have reached the point where millions of people celebrate this tooth-challenged moron, Zach Zelensky. That's where we're at.
And do you think that, on a serious note for a change, do you think the tide is turning, Bud? I mean, we do what we do, the sun does what it does, and I hear people the length and breadth of this country going, Jesus, Jez, come on, man. And we're in a building where that's what it's all about. Do you feel it's going to change?
Well, listen, I think it's got to change. Here's the deal. There's a very small minority of very noisy, influential people who have imposed this crazy wokery on a nation that doesn't want it. The vast, vast, vast majority, the silent majority, are sitting around in their houses and the pubs going, what the hell is going on? We got to start listening to them and telling the Zach Polanskis of this world, you're just talking utter crap. Shut up. Let's get back to common sense Britain. We need to do it fast, Jeremy. We really do.
Good man. Listen, great to have you on, pal. And he sounds fantastic. Kev O'Sullivan, not Trevor the ex-dictator. 4 o'clock this afternoon. The best drive time show anywhere. Cheers, mate. Thank you so much indeed. Almost 10 o'clock. Alex Phillips from 10. And Ian Collins is back from 1 o'clock from his holidays. I am reliably informed, having done breakfast for 2 weeks, he went away for a week with his kids. He's absolutely knackered, and like most of us, returning from work with a family, we're happy to be back. Thank you to the A-team, to Tommy, to Mark, to the Queen herself, Neha, she's waving, and to Christian, the I don't like giving a mugs away, Mitchell. But we'll build some today, don't worry. Have yourselves a great day. Keep it talk, of course, the home of common sense, and we're back here tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock. Just finally, Jez, what if the police officer identifies as a cat, says Tony in Marchwood. Would he be any good? He'd probably be perfect. That was rubbish, wasn't it? See you tomorrow from 6 o'clock. I'm going home. Ta-ra.
Zia Youssef is one very, very popular amongst the base, absolutely. And I think one of the reasons he is popular is because he speaks from the hip. He speaks in a language and with an attitude that is shared in pubs up and down the country, but not necessarily in Westminster seminars.
Do you think he gets away with being a loose cannon, whereas Tim Montgomery doesn't? Tim Montgomery gets suspended, Zia Youssef gets hugged closer.
There's a big difference. Tim is an ordinary party member. He is not a spokesperson. He is not an elected member. He's not on the board. He literally has no role in the party.
Across the UK.